Welcome back to the channel. Today we will travel through the pages of What If Naruto Had Storm Release Part 4. The link to the story will be in the description below. Now let's start. Naruto, Sakura, and Kakashi appeared at the gates of the Sand Village in a flash of blue light. Kakashi, due to being in this kind of situation due to his sensei, only shook off the little buzz he got. Sakura, not being used to this kind of thing, threw up on the spot. This made Naruto laugh at her, while Kakashi only chuckled. Sakura healed herself and then glared at the two with intense fury. This made Kakashi stop because he had been hit by her angry fist before and did not want to be in the hospital again. Naruto however only laughed more, in turn making Sakura walk up and hit him right in the nuts. She expected Naruto to yell like a girl and fall to the ground and hold his balls and start to cry. However, all she got was a grin from Naruto. "Did you really think I would not find a way to protect my nuts?" Kakashi was slack-jawed. What did Naruto do? He must have it. He then called out to Naruto. "Whatever you do, give it to me." Naruto saw this and smirked. "It is going to cost you. Money is not a problem." Kakashi yelled and pulled out his wallet. Naruto eyed the man's wallet and took a good number of bills from the man. Naruto then pulled out a slip of paper and gave it to the silver-haired man. "Just slide this on your nuts and put chakra into it." Naruto explained to him how the seal works. "Is it really that simple?" Kakashi looked at the seal in amazement. "It is a simple barrier seal. I don't know why people have not thought of something like this. Naruto invented this seal when he had called Mei an old lady whose tits would become saggy in the next 5 years. She covered her foot in chakra and kicked him in the nuts. He had then vowed he would solve this problem. So he looked into the sealing arts and used a simple barrier seal and then put it on his nuts." Sakura was baffled at the turn of events. All the women's secret weapons had now been countered. She would have to report this to Lady Hokage about this emergency. Sakura then remembered where they were and snapped back into attention. "Guys. We are on a mission right now, let's focus." This snapped Naruto and Kakashi back out of their talks about monopolizing the seal. The look of a controlled rage and a warrior who showed no mercy to his enemies soon popped back on Naruto's face. Sakura suppressed a shudder at the sharp gaze of Naruto. She had no idea how Rukia could be the daughter of Naruto. Rukia was a calm, collected, confident, fearless and prideful young woman, while Naruto was a merciless, battle-hungry, ruthless, bloodthirsty, and sometimes cocky young man. Sakura knew Naruto was an angel to his loved ones and a demon to his enemies. The Pincat knew from experience. Naruto had called her dad a pussy and then proceeded to move her and her mom into a big-ass house in the red light district. He acted like her father for a short time until she began to change and truly blossom into her own woman. Naruto then became her cool older brother, but she was sure that he had fucked her mom. Sakura honestly didn't mind if she was being honest. It seemed her mom didn't love her dad anymore anyways. They had moved out when she had caught him cheating with some street whore. Her dad tried to attack Naruto because he didn't like how he was getting close to his family. Naruto had bitch-slapped the man which sent him to the hospital for a broken jaw. That was when Naruto had moved them into their new house and was sure her mom had Naruto all to herself that night. "Let's go." Naruto walked to the guards with his armor clanking with each step. Kakashi followed behind Naruto with his own serious face. Sakura then shook herself from her thoughts and went behind Naruto and her sensei. When the guards saw Naruto, they clicked their heels together and gave him a respectful bow. "It is nice to see you, Naruto-sama," the guard said at the same time. Due to Naruto spending so much time in the Sand Village with Gaara plus his SS rank in the bingo book, Naruto got the respect of the Kage in most villages that were allied with the Leaf. The lower-tier villages also somewhat worshipped Naruto for his acts of making them allies to the Leaf and to the Guardians. They worked as spies in their village while also letting him know what goes on in areas close to him. Naruto gave them both nods. "I am here to see Gaara, we have to talk about some things." Naruto spoke in a sharp tone that could cut through steel. He gave the guards a piercing gaze that seemed as if he was judging them for all they were worth. The guards were a little nervous to be in the presence of what had to be the strongest man alive. His thick and dense chakra was suffocating to say the least. They felt as if they were drowning in the sands and Naruto was the sandstorm coming to sweep them under the sands of time. Those blue eyes of his sparked with an intense power and sometimes looked to spark with electricity. His spiky blonde hair that blew in the wind danced across his face. Those two bangs that fell over his headband seemed to sit up like two demon horns, only making his nickname the Heavenly Demon sound much more true. His blue armor that seemed to be as fresh as he had just gotten it made. However, that was only due to the seals and it being enhanced with the power of Kasumi and made by the advanced technology of the Land of Spring. His black undershirt along with his black pants seemed to be rough but also contained a luxurious quality to it. "Why yes sir, Lord G. Gaara is in his office." The guard to the left spoke. He was only a skinny man with the typical sand uniform on. He cursed himself for stuttering in front of this man. Great, I will go right to him. Naruto then walked into the rocks that led to the sand village followed by his two comrades. Sakura and Kakashi were amazed at the respect Naruto was receiving from all of the villagers and ninja. They would sometimes bow and give him slight waves, while the women and little girls would blush at him. Sakura glared at them trying to come onto her brother. Kakashi gave off slight perverted giggles, but a glare from Sakura and he was back into ninja mode. They made it to the tower of the Kazekage. Naruto saw Gaara's window was open and took the chance to do his thing. Piss people off. Naruto put Sakura over his shoulder and grabbed Kakashi by the back of his jonin collar and floated up to the open window. Naruto then floated inside like he owned the place. Gaara's eyebrow had a slight twitch. He tried to hide it, but if the smirk on Naruto's face was anything, he guessed the blonde had seen it. Gaara then noticed the smirk leave his face and saw that Naruto was equipped and seemed to be ready for war. Gaara then sent his Anbu guards out of the room with a wave of his hand. Naruto then put up a silencing seal on the room. Kakashi, Sakura and Gaara watched the black line spread across the room and reach all corners of the room and they glow blue for a moment. Naruto then spoke up. Those Red Dawn assholes are on their way here. Naruto's gaze was fierce and penetrating. Gaara had gotten used to it when training with the blonde and the other guardians. Okay, when will they be here? Gaara spoke in his calm and powerful tone of voice. They should be here around nighttime. Naruto replied to Gaara's question and turned answering the question Kakashi and Sakura had. Sounds good. Most people will be inside and in a space location at that time, which means we don't have to worry about anyone interfering. The Redeed said with a hand on his chin. We will go and get them before they even make it to the village. Naruto said, but it sounded more like an order to everyone else. Sakura and Kakashi were worried that Gaara would not like how Naruto was speaking to Gaara. Their worries were put to rest when Gaara nodded to Naruto's statement and surprisingly smirked. Yes, Gaara was a Kage, but he was also a member of the Guardians and listened to Naruto who was the leader and strongest of them. Gaara would not follow an order Naruto would give him if it would endanger his village and made sure Naruto was aware of this fact. Naruto was cool with that and only ruffled Gaara's hair and gave him that foxy grin. You never change. Gaara simply said. Always want to strike first. Naruto merely smirked. You think I'm going to be sitting on my ass waiting for the mongrels to come and get me? I'll bring it to M and blow their ass up with a smile. Kakashi's sweat dropped. He was not used to how Naruto operated. Sakura and Gaara were already used to this by now. Naruto was always a kill first and talk later kind of guy. So when will we be leaving then? Kakashi asked. We can go right now. I know where they are. Naruto replied to the one-eyed Cyclops. Naruto then had a question pop into his mind. He turned to Kakashi with a questioning gaze. Do you have the Mangekyou Sharingan? After Naruto finished his question, he saw the range of emotions run through Kakashi's lone eye. Rage, sadness, despair, and disappointment. Kakashi then meets Naruto's gaze with a stern black eye. I do. Naruto nodded and made a gesture to say continue. I had a feeling I would need it in the future, so I trained in it over the past years. Naruto nodded in expectancy. Do you have a decent control over it? Naruto questions Kakashi again. I can only use it 2 times and stay on my feet. If I pushed myself then 3 times but I would be done after that. Kakashi answered Naruto's question. Naruto was a little disappointed at that. 2 times was not a lot to work with, but maybe if he. Naruto shook his head. Something like that could wait for a different time. Alright, that should be enough to win this fight. Naruto said and got a nod from Kakashi. Naruto then turned his attention to the other 2 in the room. We will be facing Sasori of the Red Sand and Deidara the Mad Bomber. Kakashi and Sakura's eyes widened at what was just said. Those 2 were high S-rank ninjas and part of the Akatsuki. Are you sure only us 4 will be enough? Sakura asked hesitantly. She knew she was strong, but actually facing a S-rank ninja so soon in her career was a little unnerving. Naruto, seeing the state Sakura was in, decided to do what he did best. Sakura-chan, now is not the time to doubt yourself, I trained you better than that. Sakura flinched at his words. Naruto had indeed trained her and the others for a bit. It was hell. If I didn't think you guys couldn't handle this then you would not be here. You are strong. The green eyes of Sakura began to glow with determination. When you start to doubt yourself, that is when you start to become weak and fragile. Are you weak and fragile? No. Sakura answered, but her heart was not in it. I said, are you weak? No. Shenro. Sakura's chakra spiked and cracked the floor and windows from the force of her power. Naruto smirked at her. Good girl. Naruto ruffled her pink hair, messing it up in the process. Sakura swatted his hand away and glared with those emerald eyes of hers. Naruto's grin then faded, replaced by the look of a warrior. Now let's go. Naruto then body flickered back to the gates. Kakashi, Sakura and Gaara then left the office and their own body flickered to the gates. They all nodded and then began to run off into the desert behind Naruto who was leading the way. Deidara and Sasori were walking in the desert sands. They were currently on their way to capture the one-tailed Jinchuriki. It had been 3 years and they were finally able to set their plans in motion. The group had lost 3 members before they were even ready to make moves. Kisame, Haiden, and Kakazu. Kisame's death had really set them back. He was the best at capturing his enemies and they would need something like that. Haiden and Kakazu were the best at getting them money for the organization. This was all because of that damn 9-tailed Jinchuriki. The leader was not happy when he had gotten news that 3 of his members had been killed. Pain had told them all if they were to run into Naruto they were to leave immediately. Pain had said they were all too weak to go against Naruto. So the leader would get Naruto himself. This had hurt their pride a little. They were all S-rank ninjas who could defeat countless ninjas themselves. They would not run away from some brat who was high off the 9-tails power. Naruto had made them a little scared and they would not accept that fact. He was taking them all out. He even gathered the other containers and made their own group. Another bump in the road to peace is what Pain called it. He claimed that they were all nothing compared to a god. Sayazri suddenly stopped in his tracks. He looked ahead of him and moved his metallic tail in front of him. This got the attention of his partner. "What's up Sayazri my man?" "I feel uneasy," Sayazri commented. The feeling only seemed to grow. He looked to see the winds picking up and what felt like the sand was moving. Deidara seemed to be clueless as to what was going on. "You are just tripping my man. There is nothing to worry about." The blonde man then grinned. "I'll blow it up with my art." "Your stupid art won't do a damn thing." "What did you say about my art?" They quickly had to jump away when something impacted where they were just a second ago. The spot where they were standing blew up in a large explosion. The sand shot in the air and the sound of the explosion echoed in the sands. What was that? Deidara made a clay bird and hopped on it. He then flew to the sky to try and find a better view. He then saw something coming towards him, but he couldn't tell what it was. Maybe he is being tricked by the heat waves causing a mirage. "Hey Sasori. I think I see something." Sayazri squinted his eyes in the distance to try and see what it was. He could see what seemed like little blue sparks. He then added chakra into his eyes and was able to see better. It was him. "Get out the way," he shouted to his partner on the bird. Deidara looked at his partner which was a mistake he would pay for. He then felt something grab his face in an iron-like grip and squeeze tight. Deidara looked into the crimson eyes of Naruto. He flinched from the pain and fright he felt in this moment. He saw Naruto bring his fist back and throw it like a missile towards his chest. Naruto's fist impacted with Deidara's chest and it sounded like a lightning bolt had just struck. Deidara was sure he had just received several broken ribs and a caved-in chest from that blow. He was sent flying off the bird and into the ground where he was buried by the sand. "Kakashi, you come with me." Naruto flew off to Deidara with Kakashi in tow. This left Gaara and Sakura to fight Sasori together. Sasori was not expecting things to turn out like this so fast. They were just walking to the place in silence and then all of a sudden they were attacked by the people they were supposed to capture. "How did you know we were coming?" Sasori asked in his raspy voice. "Don't worry about it, you will be dead soon anyways," Gaara said with his crossed arms and impassive face. "We'll smash you to bits." Sakura tightened her gloves and got into her stance. "Ah, yay whatever." Sasori swung his tail at them and released some poison needles. Sakura easily dodged in between the needles while Gaara's sand simply blocked it. Gaara then commanded the sand to rise up and crush the hunched-over man. Sasori swatted the sand away with one of his tails and jumped away again, only to be grabbed by sand tendrils that grabbed his legs and pulled him back down to the sand. He cursed and abandoned the shell. The two saw a flash and looked to see a red-head man standing there with an emotionless face. "That was my favorite puppet." His voice was dry and lacked any emotion. As if he barely ever used his voice. "Nobody cares." Sakura then rushed the man in order to punch his lights out. Sasori, seeing the girl rush in, opened his mouth and let out a horde of poison needles. Sakura, thinking fast, used earth chakra to harden her skin and covered her whole body in a thick rock that looked more like smooth slabs covering her whole body. The needles simply bounced off or broke on contact with her body. Sakura reached him and punched him right in the head. This knocked the man's head right off. Sakura was expecting to see blood or his skeleton. However, she was not expecting to see a blade come from his neck and lunge towards her head. Sakura focused the chakra at the point of impact and the same brown slab appeared and blocked the sword. Sakura jumped back in order to rethink her approach. Deidara reached out of the crater and got in a sitting position. Damn, that hurt like hell. He looked up when he saw Naruto flying down with his knee pointed towards his gut. Naruto landed right on his chest knee first. This caused Deidara to spit up some blood that landed on Naruto's face. More where that came from. Naruto then began to lay haymakers down on his fellow blonde. Each punch made Deidre's body jump and flinch. He was barely up and could only taste blood. Right when he was about to pass out he was woken up by a hammer fist to his face that made his ears ring. Deidre then used his chakra to switch with an exploding clone which blew up right on Naruto. Kakashi came up and saw that Naruto was just blown up. He knew better though. He had fought Naruto himself and knew damn well that it was going to take much more than one explosion to lay Naruto down. Haha. My art is supreme once again. Deidre laughed to himself like the madman he was. He then noticed Kakashi and smirked. He began to send chakra into his arms making two giant clay birds. Kill him. The birds flew towards Kakashi who started to make hand signs earth release. Earth wall. Kakashi slammed his hands on the ground and a slab of wall rose and blocked the birds that exploded on contact. I've got more art than that copycat. Deidre was in the sky on his bird once more. Kakashi looked up with a bored look in his eye despite the situation. Aren't you forgetting someone? That fool is dead. All it took was a little explosion. Derda said with a cocky grin. His grin was instantly wiped off his face when he saw a lightning rip right through his bird, sending it crashing to the ground. Kakashi saw Naruto holding a Chidori in his hand. But it was extended to the sky and was easily cutting down the bird. So he can do easy shape manipulation. While keeping perfect control over it. Kakashi congratulated the teen in his head. He then saw Naruto jump in the sky and stab Deidre right in the shoulder and slice his left arm off. Deidre cried out at the loss of his left arm. He glared at the blonde who was floating in front of him. You are pretty weak once I figure out your abilities. Naruto said and 5 clones formed behind him. I'll kill you. And wipe this place off the map. Deidre tore off his cloak and began to feed clay into his mouth on his chest. I don't think so bitch. The clones then formed Rasen shurikens in their hands. They covered their hands with Kasumi's chakra so their cells could be safe. All of the Rasen shuriken began to get covered with all the elements and were huge and packed with a large amount of chakra. Game over. Naruto launched his attack towards the slowly disappearing blonde. And to make sure. Naruto formed a mini-sun in his hand. It was Storm Release Supernova. He launched a mini-sun at the man along with the other attacks which made contact with the blonde pony-tailed man and blew up in a large explosion in the sky. The explosion shook the ground where Kakashi was and also caused earthquakes off in the distance. Over where Sakura and Gaara were fighting. They stumbled and looked to where Naruto and Kakashi were fighting. The ground was littered with destroyed puppets and craters with sand falling down. Sakura was on a giant boulder she had made when she struck the ground to crush Sasori. Gaara was floating in the air on a sand cloud. The two were dominating the fight against Sasori. If he was being honest he thought he could beat him by himself. However he almost fell when the explosion from the distance had finally reached him. The sand had kicked up but he used his control over it to send it back towards the ground. Gaara looked and could see the giant cloud of sand in the sky and he was sure it could be spotted from the village. Sasori knew what just happened. His partner died and if things kept up the same way, he would also die. Coming to a decision, he ripped off his cloak and revealed his bare wooden body. I didn't think that I would have to use myself, but it doesn't matter, you will soon be in my new collection. Sakura saw that puppet boy and couldn't help herself. Hahaha. You are a puppet. I can't believe this. Sakura grabbed her stomach in laughter. This guy really turned himself into a life-size doll. She then had a question. Do you even still have your dick? In order to get the best results, you must remove all unnecessary things. Sasori said in his calm voice, but if he could, there would be a vein pulsing on his forehead at someone laughing at his art. The ultimate art. Whatever, this only makes it easier to crush your ass to bits. Sakura then dashed back in at Sasori. Sasori puts his hands out and shoots flames toward Sakura. Gaara then made the sand form a wall in front of the flames. He then made a glob of sand pick Sakura up and tossed her over the wall. Sakura saw Sasori look up at her from where he was. She saw him extend a metal rope from his waist that was dripping with poison. The rope shoots at her like a snake ready to strike. Sakura twisted to the side while falling, she then grabbed the metal rope and yanked on it hard which caused Sasori to be flung towards her. Sakura let out a beastly yell and slammed her fist into the gut of Sasori, causing him to fold over her chakra-covered fist. Sakura fell down to the ground and slammed the Redeed who was still on her fist into the sandy ground. Boom. There was a huge crater in the ground. Sakura was getting up from the ground while Sasori was laying there on the ground with his puppet's eyes closed. Sakura wiped some sweat off her head and dropped to a knee and took heavy breaths. This was her first time going all out like this. She didn't use the 100 healings because she didn't need to at the moment, however, she had used a lot of chakra and given it everything she had to defeat this puppet boy. Gaara picked up the pink-haired girl with his sand and laid her on his sand cloud. Sakura gave Gaara a grateful smile as thanks. The Kazukiage simply nodded and started to fly away. They had their backs turned and didn't see the puppet that was moving slightly. It opened its eyes and tried to get up and make a run for it. The puppet stopped when a round spinning ball flew through where its heart would be. It hit the chakra source that acted as its heart for his puppet bodies. He strained his head to look back and saw Naruto with his two fingers extended in his direction. "Race and Dan," Naruto stated calmly. Although it was very noisy in the desert due to all the battle that had just happened and the sandstorm going on in the back, Naruto's voice cut through it all like a hot knife through butter. "Bro," Sakura called on the sand cloud. Naruto smirked at her. It seemed she had become really strong if the destruction was anything to go by. "I thought I told you to make sure your enemy was dead." He almost got away. Naruto sounded as if he was talking to a child who misbehaved and was getting a lecture. "Sorry," Sakura said with her head down. Naruto then looked towards the dying puppet. "Any last words?" Naruto made a blade of wind and aimed it towards the puppet's heart. Sasori didn't resist. He knew there was nothing he could do, so he would at least help them out. "I have a spy meeting with me in 10 days at this bridge." He is a spy in the ranks of Orochimaru. Naruto was actually surprised at what he was just given. "Wow, and to think I thought you would say something about your dumb art." By R. He didn't get to finish as Naruto stabbed him in his chakra source and cut his head off. "Now, let's go and celebrate," Naruto said and flashed them all back to the village. Naruto, Sakura, and Kakashi were all at the gates of the village getting ready to leave. They were currently being thrown a goodbye celebration. The whole sand village was there and thanking them. They had protected the village and also saved their leader from death. Naruto was used to this now, so he just stood there proud with Kasumi around his neck with matching grins on their faces. Sakura was not used to this kind of praise, so she was blushing and looking away while hiding behind Naruto a little bit. She would give out small waves and smile, but would always hide behind Naruto when she would see a cute guy. Kakashi seemed relaxed as ever with his book still out. However, his head seemed to be lower into the book than normal. He was never one for celebrations and a lot of attention. "Alright everyone, I think we have done enough partying." Naruto remembered how the whole village was glowing last night. They had partied all night long, and some people even partied through the day and were still going at it. "You say that, but you are still holding liquor in your hand," Sakura said in a deadpan from behind Naruto. Naruto simply turned his head and grinned. He then got a smirk on his face that Sakura didn't like. He pulled Sakura out in front of him and placed a hand on her shoulder. "Are there any men who would like to take my cute little sister out for a date?" The bunch of boys raised their hands in excitement while looking at Sakura with hearts in their eyes. Sakura's eyes went wide and she tried to get away, but Naruto only held her in place. "No. Brother, stop." Sakura tried to run away, but Naruto grabbed her with his chakra chain and pulled her back. "As you can see, she has a lot of energy. Who thinks they can keep up with her?" Naruto yelled to the crowd, making the boys almost trample over everyone on their way to Sakura. Sakura, seeing this, only did what she was good at: destroying. "I said no, damn it." The pink-haired medic brought her fist down on the ground and a massive crater formed in the sand which was quickly filled with sand. This caused a gap between all of the sand villagers and her team. Sakura then turned a glare to Naruto, who was still grinning at her. "Take us home." Sakura punched Naruto right in the face with chakra coming off her fist. Naruto didn't even flinch. "Come on sis, I was only joking, but if you want to go back so bad, fine." Naruto pulled the two into his arms. "I will see you all some other time." "Bye, Naruto-sama." A bunch of women from the brothel houses and fangirls yelled to Naruto. The armor-clad blonde simply winked at the girls, causing them all to swoon. He then left in a blue flash. Hokage office. In a blue flash, Sakura, Kakashi and Naruto were standing in front of Tsunade's desk. Naruto was giving his busty mother a grin. Kakashi was reading his book and Sakura was throwing up in the trash. "Mission successful." Naruto spoke over the sound of Sakura throwing her guts out. "I expected nothing less," Tsunade said with a smile on her face. "Honestly, Hokage-sama, I don't see why you even added us to this battle." Kakashi flipped a page in his book, getting a glare from Tsunade which made him tense up. Naruto could have beaten them by himself. This made Naruto chuckle. "If I just went and defeated them all at once, that would make the dance boring." Naruto patted Kakashi on his back. "Plus, I also wanted to see you guys in your power." Naruto was pleased from what he saw. Sakura had gotten very strong from the last time he had fought with her. If things kept up, she would become stronger than Tsunade. Kakashi could train a little more and also make his stamina better, but the gray-haired man was too lazy and slightly arrogant in his Sharingan. "Did we miss anything, Lady Tsunade?" Sakura asked after she healed herself and got a hold of herself. "No, not really." Naruto was about to speak up until he felt something in his pocket pulse. Hold on you guys, I am going to talk to the Akatsuki. Naruto then pulled the ring he got from Sasori and slipped it on his finger and sent his chakra into the ring. Wait Naruto, don't do something so reckless. Tsunade yelled and got up from her seat. It was too late though, Naruto had seemed to space out and not be responding to anything. When Naruto opened his eyes again, he did not see the office. He was just standing in what looked like a dark cave and he was standing on what looked like a giant finger. He gazed around with sharp eyes at what was around him. He had no trace of joking on his face, the usual grin that was on his face was now gone and replaced with eyes that were sparking with power. The other members looked at Naruto in surprise and a hidden fear of the man who had been killing them off left and right. They wondered how he even got to this place, but then saw the ring on his finger that used to belong to Sasori. There was silence in the cave. No one made a move or uttered a sound. It seems I have found the rabbit hole. Naruto broke the silence that was in the cave. His body made from static shimmered to life. What are you doing here Nine Tails? Pain, the leader spoke looking down on Naruto as if he was beneath him. Which he was in Pain's opinion. Naruto looked at the person who spoke and guessed he was the leader of this group. The locked gazes and Naruto didn't back down from the gaze of God. Naruto looked curious at finally seeing the legendary eyes of the Sage of Six Paths. So you are the big bad leader of these misfits. I am impressed that you have the eyes of the Sage of Six Paths. Pain narrowed his eyes on the blonde boy. How do you know of these eyes? Pain more or less demanded from Naruto. The other members stayed quiet while silently watching the whole conversation unfold. Does it really matter how I know? Naruto crossed his arms while still looking towards Pain. I suppose it doesn't. You will still fall to God. Oh, are you saying that you are God? Naruto chuckled to himself. This made Pain narrow his eyes in anger at the blonde. You dare laugh at God, you and all the other beasts shall fall in no pain. That is when Naruto's killing intent and power flared. This sent Itachi, Zetsu and Konan to their knees. Naruto saw the one with a swirl mask struggle a little, but otherwise brush his power off. He also saw the unmistakable view of a Sharingan. He would keep that for later. Naruto then turned his gaze back to the leader, who seemed to be affected by his power, if the wide eyes and panicked face was anything. You listen here bitch, you better hope I don't find where you are. Because if I do. Naruto paused and spiked his power even more. I'll kill you. Naruto said coldly and his hair turned white and spiked up for a quick second. The blonde then vanished from the cave, allowing all of the members to get back on their feet. Back in the office, Naruto opened his eyes to see the whole place cracked and destroyed. Tsunade and Sakura were behind her desk peeking over it. Kakashi was outside with his one visible eye wide in shock and hidden terror. The Anbu in the room were out and approaching Naruto hesitantly. Naruto saw this and got a sheepish look on his face. He put his hand behind his head and scratched it nervously. Sorry about that guys, guess the Uzumaki temper got the best of me. They all just looked at him blankly for a second until his mother snapped out of it first. Got the best of you? Tsunade was on him in a second. She was pulling his ear hard and using her incredible strength to make it hurt. You damn near destroyed my office. Oh, you're going to pull my ear off. Naruto winded childishly in a chibi form along with Tsunade who was whacking him on the head. Everyone just watched the mother and son with clear amusement. Even the Anbu chuckled a little at seeing the storm of the leaf be scolded by his mother. Once Tsunade was done punishing her son she walked away with a huff and crossed arms under her wonderful bosom. Sakura-chan, can you tell the rest while I go home and get some medical attention to my brain? Naruto then left in a wind tornado, not giving her a chance to answer. Well I guess I have no choice now. Sakura then turned to Tsunade who was sitting at her new desk and chair. When we were about to kill Sasori he told us some important news. Oh yay, like what? Tsunade asked with a head tilt. He said he was meeting with a spy in 10 days at Tenchi Bridge. Tsunade's face became serious. She got a bad feeling about this and it never meant anything good. Go on. The spy has information on Orochimaru and his whole village, supposedly. Tsunade's feeling was correct. Her evil teammate had something to do with this. However, this was a chance that couldn't be missed. They could possibly get the drop on the snake freak and wipe him and his village out. Okay, I will send you guys out on this mission. Kakashi, make sure you are ready for this mission in 10 days, but you guys will need another teammate to help you out. Kakashi, who was still outside enjoying the breeze, snapped his book closed and looked at Tsunade. Do we really need another teammate? You know we are good enough to go on this mission without someone possibly bringing us down. That is correct, but for the sake of team balancing, I have to give you guys one extra. Kakashi looked at Tsunade blankly for a moment. Whatever you say Hokage-sama. Kakashi then walked out with his book in hand, leaving Tsunade and Sakura in the office. Streets of Konoha. Naruto was walking down the street to his compound. He was thinking about just flashing there but decided to walk and admire the view of the village. He smiled and waved at all the people who greeted him. Naruto then saw a familiar pineapple top. Shikamaru. Naruto said and put an arm around the lazy boy's neck and gave him a grin. The black-haired boy sighed from the action but soon smirked back at his longtime friend. Hey Naruto, I see you are still being a drag as usual. Hey, don't be like that. Naruto then grinned and Shikamaru didn't like that. I just got back from the sand and you know who I saw. Here it comes. Shikamaru said in his head. Your fine-ass girlfriend. Naruto then laughed out loud. He would always mess with Shikamaru about how he managed to get a girl like Temari. What a drag, if you mind, I am preparing for the Chunin exams right now. Are you now? Naruto put a hand on his chin. They're going to be in the sand this year, right? Right. Hey you guys. They both looked up to see Choji eating some BBQ chips. Choji, I always see you putting something in your mouth. Naruto then got a smirk on his face and walked to the boy. Shikamaru saw the smirk and did a silent prayer for Choji in his head. Naruto then went up to the boy and whispered in his ear. Choji's face quickly became red and he had steam coming from his ears. Naruto, that is P perverted. All Naruto did was laugh and pat the fat boy on the back. You will understand sooner or later. Naruto's eyes then snapped to where he saw a black and white tiger running towards him and his friends. He simply swiped his hand down and the tiger dispelled in an instant. Naruto's eyes snapped to the pale boy who was sitting across from them with a blank face and drawing brush in his hand. Shikamaru and Choji snapped to attention and got ready to defeat the enemy. Who is that guy? Shikamaru asked. His voice no longer holding the laziness it once had. Doesn't matter, he is dead. The next thing Shikamaru and Choji knew, Naruto was no longer standing where he once was and was now on the guy who was attacking them. He's fast. Shikamaru and Choji thought. Naruto pulled out his moonlight sword and clashed it with the other guy's Tonto. Naruto overpowered him immediately. Naruto scowled and put his sword back in its sheath. You are not even worth my blade, weakling. Naruto then formed a blade of lightning over his right hand. The glow of his navy blue armor light a ray of hope or how his enemies see it. The light to death. Naruto ran his hand right through the pale boy's heart, destroying his heart in an instant. Naruto looked at him with no remorse as blood spilled on his hand and stained his armor. The boy coughed up more blood and dropped to his knees once Naruto yanked his hand out of his chest. Daring to challenge me was foolish of you. Naruto had no mercy for his enemies. This gave him the nickname of Heavenly Demon from the Iwa Ninja. Over the 3 years he had killed a good chunk of Iwa ninjas. They wanted to dance but were not able to match his steps. All except the little bee. She probably hated him for killing a bunch of her comrades, but she too had laid waste to ninjas of the leaf. Well, that was quick. Shikamaru said, looking at the dead body under his feet. Geez Naruto, you didn't have to be so brutal. Choji didn't like how brutal Naruto killed the guy. He had heard stories of how Naruto killed his enemies with no mercy, no matter who they were. I didn't have to, but with Anko as your sensei and the Nine Tails training you, it's hard not to get some of their quirks after so long of fighting with them. Naruto searched the body of the dead teen and pulled out things that might be useful. So does everyone in your clan fight like you do? Choji asked nervously. He was a little nervous about having a whole clan of ninjas that fought like Naruto. He got his answer when Naruto turned his head and smirked at him. Naruto then rose to his feet and released some of his power for the world to feel. Lightning sparked from his body and the sound of thunder clapping could be heard. It was like the gods were applauding Naruto for his power. The Uzumaki are the strongest ninja. No one can stop us. Naruto spoke with utter power and confidence in his clan. All the Uzumaki around the world had a sudden spark of courage and confidence. Shikamaru and Choji had the urge to get on one knee and pledge loyalty to Naruto. They were moved by his confidence in his clan because they too were clan heirs and had to represent their clan. They wanted to be like Naruto Uzumaki. The storm of the leaf. Follow me. Naruto's voice was commanding and authoritative. It left no room for argument. Yes. The two boys grabbed a body and left in a body flicker. Hokage office. Who the fuck is this? Naruto asked while standing over the body of Sai with his foot on the dead teen's back. Naruto, can't you see I am busy? Tsunade was talking to the 3 elders while Hiruzen was standing next to her. Old man, you're still alive. Naruto said seeing Hiruzen in green and black clan robes while smoking his pipe. Hiruzen only chuckled at the armor-clad blonde. I am very much still alive. But if you keep flexing your power like that I might die from a heart attack. Naruto chuckled to himself. Well I had to show these two how they run a clan. Naruto pointed at Shikamaru and Choji. It doesn't matter, why are you here boy? The elder Kahara said. Naruto looked at the other elders coldly. His eyes were sharp and posture ridged. As if waiting for someone to make a move. The elders began to sweat nervously and even Danzo seemed a bit off. Damn it, he killed Sai. He was one of my best tools. Who is this guy? Naruto asked once again. He was supposed to be your new teammate. Tsunade spoke up. Then why did he attack us? I sent him to greet you. Danzo chose this time to speak up and hopefully gain control of the situation once again. Next thing he knew, Naruto slammed him into the wall and had a glowing blade of sharp chakra at his throat. Naruto looked Danzo into his one good eye. Ever since he had ripped the fake out along with cutting his arm off which was made of Hashirama cells. I should just kill you right now. Naruto stated calmly and pushed the sharp blue blade closer. You won't. Danzo said as calmly as he could. Inside he was nervous, Naruto was known for not showing mercy. But he had to try and play on his pride and the fact that he was in front of the Hokagen elders along with 2 clan heirs. Naruto, that's enough. Tsunade yelled. Naruto kept his gaze on the man for a little while longer. Naruto put him down and back away. He let his chakra blade fade away. Danzo smirked at Naruto. He had won and always will win. Hiruzen knew better though. He saw the look in Naruto's eye. It was the same look when he was about to kill Neji in the Chunin exams. Kushina, Naruto's mother, had the same look in her eye during the war. It was the look she gave right before she completely destroyed her enemies. Naruto, faster than anyone could see, quickly coated his hand in lighting and cut Danzo's head off. Danzo's head fell to the ground and his body soon slumped over. Naruto walked over to the body and went through hand signs. Goku, I need some of that hot shit. Hot and ready. Goku sent Naruto some of his chakra. Lava balls then formed around Naruto which he made drop onto Danzo's body and burn it to ashes and then burning that. Everyone in the room was shocked, well everyone except Hiruzen. The old man simply sighed in pity for his old friend. Tsunade didn't think Naruto would do such a thing as killing an elder right in front of her and the other elders. The elders were shaking in fear of Naruto. Let this be a warning to you elders. Your political power means nothing and you better know your role and shut your mouth. Naruto then flashed to his compound saying everything he had to say. His message was sent and he knows they got it directly. That boy. Tsunade rubbed her temples in frustration. She loved her son. Her son. It was weird calling herself Naruto's mother at first since she knew his real mother. However, Naruto didn't care and simply told her she was the closest thing he had to a mother. Soon she simply started to see Naruto as her son and just went with it. Yes, he is quite something. Hiruzen blew out a ring of white smoke. Hiruzen, why are you not doing anything? Kaharu asked in fear and panic. Hiruzen only raised an eyebrow at her. And what do you want me to do? I am definitely not fighting him, I'd rather fight my old student again. Hiruzen shivered at the thought of just going up against Naruto. He could already hear the devilish laughter. Maybe if he was in his prime, but he knew that it wouldn't even make a difference if he was in his prime or not. He must be put to death. He killed Danzo. Homura shouted. Tsunade then flared her kai at the 2 elders and had bloody murder in her eyes. I've had enough of you. Be lucky he didn't kill you either. Now get out of my office. They tried to stand their ground. They were war veterans for crying out loud. Tsunade got from her desk and walked over to them and grabbed them by their collars and threw them out of the door, breaking their old bones in the process. They all had it coming, the retired Hokage thought to himself. Uzumaki compound. Naruto appeared inside his room in the compound. He took off his battle armor and placed it on his armor stand. He took off his all-black undershirt and pants. He was now dressed in a messy white tank top that highlighted his muscles and well-toned arms. He was wearing some loose black pants similar to that of Taiya, but made for comfort and not battle. He slipped on some blue sandals and left his room. He heard some noise in the backyard, so he walked over to see his daughter in an intense spar with Haku and Gurren. She was using her Kenjutsu skills to battle them both off while using some of that kid she was talking about. He could feel her spiritual pressure from inside and could only imagine that it must be worse for the girls outside fighting. He walked outside and saw Rukia being cased in Haku's crystal ice mirrors, along with Gurren, who had some crystal shards ready to pierce her. Rukia saw the attacks coming her way and took a calming breath. They had been sparring for 3 hours now, and Rukia still had energy to burn. Haku and Gurren seemed to be getting a little tired if their heavy breathing was anything to go by. Rukia reached inside her body and pulled on her chakra. The cold touch of her bloodline ran through her veins like ice-cold water in the morning going down your throat. Ice-style petrifying jutsu. Rukia was quickly covered head to toe in a thick layer of ice that protected her from the onslaught of attacks from Haku and Gurren. Their attacks connected with Rukia's defensive jutsu, but she held strong. She quickly formed a plan inside her head. She jammed her sword in the ground and made a platform of ice shooter into the sky, giving her a vantage point. She made a cross sign, and 3 clones of Rukia popped into existence. They then went through hand signs. Ice-style ice dragon. 3 massive dragons formed behind the clones and rushed the girls on the ground. Haku was low on chakra, so this attack would be her last. Ice-style ice dragon frenzy. 5 ice dragons rushed Rukia's 2 dragons. They were smaller than hers but more in number. However, she underestimated the power of Rukia's dragons. Rukia's dragons overpowered Haku's dragon in an instant, making Haku's eyes widen. Gurren made a giant dome of crystal to shield both her and Haku from Naruto's daughter. The whole compound was rocked by the explosion force of Rukia's attack. It was a good thing Naruto put up seals around the compound. "I've got you right where I want you." Rukia dropped and was in front of them. Naruto was on the sideline watching with a proud grin on his face. "Now that's my girl." Dance, Sode no Shirayuki. A white ribbon extended from the end of her blade's hilt and spiritual pressure exploded off of Rukia. She got into the stance to unleash one of her most powerful, poked her sword into the ground 4 times. Haka, no Togam. A massive blast of ice shot from the tip of her sword towards Gurren and Haku at intense speeds. They put more chakra into their wall, and a layer of ice and crystal shot up to block Rukia's attack. Rukia widened her eyes at the attack she had just launched. She didn't mean to pack so much power into the attack. "I got too engrossed in the battle and let out a little too much power. I see why father likes battle so much. I may have ice in my veins, but my blood is pumping. I'm so proud of you." The voice of Naruto sounded, and next thing everyone knew was Rukia's attack was blasted away by Naruto, who had a proud smile on his face. Rukia's heart swelled with pride and joy at her father being proud of her. This was one thing she missed while he was gone for so many years. She missed when they would spend time together. Whether it was training, playing, or just relaxing at home. "It's all thanks to you, father. But can you keep up with me, old man?" Rukia smirked at her dad. She gripped her sword which hummed in excitement at finally being able to cut up Naruto. Naruto threw his head back in laughter. "So you still want to keep going?" Naruto summoned his moonlight blade. Naruto lost his grin for a moment and simply gazed at Rukia with nothing but love for a moment. He remembered when they first met. He remembered bringing her to the village, he remembered training her in the sword for the first time, he remembered her first day of school. Now she was a beautiful young woman who was growing each day. His vision began to blur and get watery due to unshed tears. He quickly blinked them away though, now was not the time. "Let's see how well you dance." Naruto then dashed towards Rukia who charged in and met him head-on. The ANG. The force of the collision between the two sent shockwaves across the backyard. Naruto was holding back so he wouldn't blow his daughter away. Rukia, for her part, packed some power in that. She thought Naruto would at least struggle to maintain balance, and she would capitalize on that. "You are going to have to do better than that." Naruto broke from their blade lock and engaged Rukia in an intense sword duel. This included slashes, jabs, jumping, lunges, and spinning slashes. Rukia had a hard time keeping up with her dad. They would clash and then disappear from view only to appear in another clash. It was making her frustrated that he was beating her so easily. "Why are you holding back? He is the strongest, you can afford to let loose on him a little." Her Zanpakuto criticized her from inside the blade. She wanted Rukia to slice Naruto into pieces. "You're right, sorry." Rukia tightened her grip around her blade and her royal purple eyes shined with determination. She was going to win. Rukia soon disappeared in a burst of speed. Rukia was behind Naruto ready to strike. Naruto widened his eyes at seeing Rukia move so fast. He could still follow her clear as day, but that was almost like his flying Raijin. He could feel Rukia was behind him getting ready and could feel the smugness coming off her blade. Naruto only smirked. He was gone in the blink of an eye. Rukia was not surprised that her dad was able to dodge her attack. She was not yet a master at the move yet and only good enough to travel short distances. "I am impressed once again." Rukia turned around and saw Naruto clapping for her. "What was that move called?" "It is called a flash step and you can experience it more in a second." Rukia then disappeared again and was on Naruto with fast pinpoint accurate slashes. Naruto bobbed and weaved in between the slashes. Naruto ducked and gave Rukia a shoulder tackle and then kicked her away a good distance. Allowing them both to get some rest from the quick exchange they just went through. Naruto stood straight up and held his blade out with his right hand. "Don't falter." Rukia dashed towards Naruto in the process, kicking up dust and cratering the ground where she dashed from. Naruto simply held his blade firm and looked sharply at Rukia. Naruto's blade glowed blue, while the air got colder from Rukia's sword and chakra. Naruto blocked a barrage of strikes from Rukia, which left small craters on the ground from the force of her power. Everyone who lived in the house was outside looking at the two with amazement on their faces. "Rukia-chan really is strong," Shizune said. She was proud of the girl just as much as Naruto was, well maybe not as much since he was the girl's father. Everyone saw flashes of the two all around the backyard. They were leaving deep cuts in the ground that glowed from leftover chakra. Naruto blocked an overhead slash from Rukia and parried with a slash meant to cut her abdomen. But she covered her hand in a thick layer of ice and blocked his blade. "She's strong." To be this good at such a young age, but this isn't enough to take me down. Naruto stomped the ground and high-pressure water spikes shot up from the ground. Rukia froze some of them and dodged the rest. Rukia slid back and had her blade in her right arm and was high above her shoulder and looked like she was ready to thrust the blade. Naruto slid back in his blue sandals that were covered in dirt. His white tank top was a little dirty but was overall clean. What is she doing? Her blade glowed white and next thing Naruto knew was he had to dodge the thick layers of ice rushing at him. He sliced some of them with his blade but she was able to launch a lot for someone who seemed to be tired. Naruto locked onto Rukia who was about to make her way towards him if the way her legs seemed to tense. Naruto was about 30 feet away from her but space meant nothing to him. The blonde was on Rukia in 3 steps. Don't slip, this dance is dangerous. Rukia had to put her blade up and block the perfect slashes from Naruto. She had no idea how he wielded his sword so fluently. She watched as his blade cut through the wind with no resistance and seemed to make the wind swirl around his blade in a tight motion. BANG. Sparks flew as Naruto and Rukia were a blur once more, but it was clear Naruto was winning. And for the closer. Naruto did an overhead slash which was blocked, but he did not stop and swung once again in a horizontal way. Rukia then lost track of Naruto's blade and was assaulted with the heavy strikes from Naruto. Naruto swung his blade which seemed to be in slow motion for Rukia. The blade caused deep cuts to form in the ground while the wind howled from his blade cutting through the air. Naruto had knocked Rukia's sword from her hand and made her fall on the cut Rukia's cheek, drawing a little blood. Dance of the Uzumaki. That was what Naruto just pulled off. It was 4 formations of movements which got stronger with every formation and step. Rukia had managed to survive 2 steps and was the only one left alive to talk about it. Good job little rabbit, you did good. Naruto picked her up and placed Rukia on his back. Rukia blushed. I told you to stop calling me that, I am not a little girl anymore. She put her arms around his neck and legs around his waist to hold herself up. Naruto only smiled. And I told you, you'll always be my little girl. Rukia laid her head on his shoulder and huffed. I know. He began to walk over to the others leaving the half-destroyed backyard which had ice spikes and deep craters with water filling the hole along with pink crystals littered on the ground. Did I do good? Dad. You did amazing Rukia-chan. Rukia smiled at getting her dad's approval. She wanted to make him and her clan proud, she would get strong and eventually defeat him one day and lead the clan. Or she wasn't Rukia Uzumaki. Hokage office. Make sure you come back in one shape, this will most likely turn into some kind of fight. Tsunade said to Team 7 plus Naruto and Gurren. Gurren would be the extra team member they needed. It didn't take much convincing from Naruto's part, a little alcohol from his Thunderbirds, and she was set in stone. I bet that shithead will pop up. Naruto said with crossed arms, making his blue armor clank. He had decided to wear it since he was sure a huge battle was coming and he wanted to be prepared. When he put on the armor heads were going to roll. If so, you have permission to kill him. Tsunade responded. I was going to do that anyways. Tsunade's eyebrow twitched from her son's antics. Just make sure you all get what information you can before shit goes south. Now dismissed. The makeshift team left to the front gates. 8. The teams appeared and were ready to leave until Kakashi stopped them all. Naruto, can't you just fly us all to the location so we won't waste time? Yes I could. Great, is everyone ready? Kakashi asked and everyone did a quick pat down to make sure they had everything. Naruto looked at Gurren who was wearing her green dress that had one long sleeve and another missing sleeve. Under her dress she had a red turtleneck which is a one-piece suit that has a white fluffy collar and black gloves. On the bottom of the dress there is a big Uzumaki swirl, the color white. Gurren is wearing calf-length black sandals. She looked damn sexy if he was being honest and had to resist the temptation to take her back home and dominate her. He would settle for what he could get now though. Beep. Gurren let out a girlish squeal that was not like the normal Gurren, who was sadistic and well-mannered. The light blue-haired woman turned to glare at Naruto who was not looking ashamed at all, only grinning. Must you do that in public? Her face had a pink tint to it from the embarrassment of getting her ass slapped in public. I'm sorry, I just couldn't help myself. You're a pervert. Sakura said in deadpan. Sakura-chan. The group turns to see a white-haired teen who had a slim figure walking up to the group but mainly Sakura. Naruto remembered the guy right away when he saw the 2 red dots on his forehead. Kamimuro-kun. Naruto saw his little pink-haired sister run and jump in the man's arms and give him a big kiss. His eyes almost fell from his sockets. Naruto looked to see if anyone else was shocked like him, but they were all smiling as if this happened often. So you are about to leave, I see. Kamimuro said while holding Sakura by the waist. Yes, we are about to track down some spy. Well, be safe, I will be waiting for your return. He gave her another kiss and left in a body flicker. Sakura put her hands to her red cheeks and started to fantasize about the things they have done and will do. The pink-haired girl then snaps out of her thoughts and goes back to the group and is under the gaze of Naruto, which makes her shrink. "So anything you want to tell me?" Naruto asks, looking down at Sakura. Surprise," she said weakly. Naruto looked at her for some more, making his gaze even more penetrating. He then bonked Sakura on her head, giving the girl a lump. Sakura whined a little before she healed herself and glared at Naruto, but she hid behind Kakashi when he raised his fist again, except this time his three elements wind, water, and lighting spun around it. "Anyways, let's go, Naruto, summon one of those Thunderbirds please." Kakashi clapped his hands. Naruto then bit his thumb and went through hand signs, and in a puff of smoke, 2 6-winged birds were there and ready. One bird was all black and the other was all white. The white bird was called Blanco and the black bird was called Negro. "Well, look at you two all grown up." Naruto rubbed their heads and the two birds leaned into it. "Yes, Naruto-sama, we are big and strong now." The white bird named Blanco said in a childish male voice. "We were always strong, HMMP." The black bird named Negro said in an arrogant male voice. He was quickly smacked upside his head by his twin brother. "Yay, that's why Naruto-sama beat you up last time, right?" Blanco laughed at his brother. "You can't beat me though." Negro got ready for a fight. "Oh yay." Blanco also got ready, but before they could fight they were both hit over the head by Naruto. "You still argue over the smallest things." Naruto sighed while the birds rubbed the bump on their head. "Just take us to Tenchi Bridge." Naruto climbed on Blanco, Gurin followed behind him and wrapped her arms around Naruto's waist and smiled. Sakura and Kakashi climbed on the Negro and they all took to the sky. "Okage office. You can enter now." Tsunade spoke out to nobody until the wind from the breeze blew her hair. When the breeze went away it only showed the serious face of Jiraiya. Tsunade, seeing the serious face of Jiraiya, also put on a serious face. "What's going on?" They are sending a fleet of 500 ninja to the hidden grass to take it over and grab a foothold." Tsunade's eyes widened in shock. "That's not good. This will spark a war, no doubt." The Hokage then started to bite her thumb in nervousness. "Why would Inoki do this? We have more allies than he does." "That is true, but they outnumber our ninja." Jiraiya put in his 2 cents. "That still wouldn't make him do something as outrageous as this." Tsunade yelled quickly, losing her temper. "I know, the old man must have something up his sleeve." Jiraiya went into deep thought about what could have made him so sure of his actions. Especially with the fact that Naruto was back and an active ninja. The answer soon came to both Tsunade and Jiraiya at the same time. Akatsuki. Tsuchikage's office. The third Tsuchikage was currently shaking the hand of One Pain. The leader of the criminal organization. They both had a common enemy in this situation. The Leaf Village. It also helped that they had done business once in the past. One wanted peace while the other would only take what was left. Like a vulture. Inoki claimed it would help Iwa become the strongest and surpass all the others. "I will be in contact with you." Pain didn't give Inoki any time to argue and just left the room. The old man grumbled about young whippersnappers and showing no respect these days. That was until his granddaughter spoke up. "Gramps, I don't like this, we should find some other way to deal with this. The Leaf is us outnumbered with allies. Some guy with fancy eyes isn't going to help. Will you calm yourself down? I know what I am doing." "Really, we have been having skirmishes with the Leaf for 3 years now, you also waited for him to come back." Kuritsuchi, the fiery woman, had a hint of anger in her voice. "What? Are you scared?" Inoki snapped at her. The black-haired woman gasped in shock at this. How the hell could he say that when she was the only one out there fighting that crazy blonde and holding her own? She wasn't stronger than him, but she damn sure did a better job than anyone else who has come into contact with him. The female Jonin knew Naruto was holding back on her because he never used his Biju's chakra, only his stupid storm release. "How the hell can you say that? You are not even out there fighting. All you do is push papers and complain about your back problems. You haven't seen his power, you don't know how overwhelming it is." Inoki scoffed at his granddaughter. "He is just a brat with a head too big for his shoulders. I have seen his kind before." The big-nosed Cage thought of the late Madara Uchiha he had fought long ago. Kuritsuchi started to shake with controlled rage and the ground under her started to melt. "I am telling you not to make such a brash move against a Leaf like this. Stop thinking about the old way of things, it won't solve anything. Get out." Inoki said, not even looking at his granddaughter who had a sad look on her face. She knew what he was planning would only hurt them more in the end. The words of Naruto then rang back into her head. "It's time for a change in the world, out with the old farts and in with the new. I look forward to our next dance, Bumblebee. You will become even more beautiful in the future." Kuritsuchi left the room and punched the wall outside, causing lava to explode from her hand and melt the whole wall. There was a blush on her face that went to her ears. That bird brain, flirting with me when he already had a harem of girls. She let out a HMMP. No way in hell would she become part of his little harem. She'd rather run a lava-covered hand through his heart. Naruto was a rival for her and nothing more. Last time she saw him was a year ago in one of the skirmishes in Waterfall. He had changed, the bird brain wasn't just throwing jutsu around like he was before. Her face got red again. He was also more handsome. She then left in a body flicker to her house before anyone could see her. Appearing in her front room, she took off her flap jacket and was only in her red shirt that had a sleeve missing. The black-haired girl fell back on her couch. We don't see each other that way and he knows it. He is simply a flirt and can't help himself. She shook her head. Why was she thinking about that bird brain like this? A flirty maybe, but a cheater Naruto wasn't. She knew him well enough to know his loyalty ran deep just like hers. We are just rivals and I will come out on top. She had to admit though. The thought of fighting Naruto when he was holding nothing back was a little unsettling. They already reshaped the earth with their fights. What could he do at full power? The pink-eyed woman knew that Naruto cared for her somewhat and she hated to admit it, but she did as well. But if a war broke out, would he just kill her? She didn't want to die. There was her dream of leading the village and she was sure Naruto would become Hokage. She pictured the two of them both with the cage hats along with Gaara. That was when it hit her. Out with the old and in with the new. So that is what he meant, the bird brain wants to make a new era for the shinobi. A smile then came to her face. I'm down, but you still won't beat me. Tenchi Bridge. The group were hiding in the bushes overlooking the bridge. They had jumped off the bird so they wouldn't get noticed right away. I'll transform and make my way over there. Naruto in a puff of smoke was now an exact copy of Sasori. Don't forget to change your voice. Kakashi told the disguised blonde. Already on it. Naruto said in a voice sounding as if he had just smoked 100 cigarettes in 5 minutes. His voice was scratchy to the group's ears. I'll be off now. Naruto left out the bushes and walked over to the meeting point. Should we really have let Naruto go? Sakura said with a worried face. Kakashi only waved her off. He's the best at the clone jutsu, so it only makes sense that he goes. But he is not known for patience. Sakura tried to reason. Until Gurren cut in. Master will be just fine. Gurren sent them a smile which made the two calm down a little. That is until her smile turned wicked. But if it doesn't it gives us a chance to kill that fucker. Slowly. Gurren began to laugh evilly to herself. Sakura and Kakashi moved away from the blue-haired woman. On the bridge Naruto was now looking at the approaching form of Kabuto. I knew he was a spy. Should have just killed him in the forest. Doesn't matter, he will most likely die today. Naruto stopped thinking that way when he felt someone else off in the distance. A grin came on his face, but nobody could see that. Hello again, Sasori-sama. What do you have for me? Right to the point as always I see. Kabuto did a slight chuckle. You know I don't like to be kept waiting. So just get on with it. Right, well Orochimaru has been training the Uchiha so he can take over his body soon. It is almost time for him to switch bodies. So you are saying he is weak right now? Yes and no. Well he is not at his strongest, he is still a S-rank ninja, so he will still be able to put up a good fight. The smile then returned to Naruto's face. Okay, anything else? Naruto asked with his raspy voice. It seems that the hidden stone is making a move on the hidden grass. Kabuto said with a smirk and pushing up his glasses. Sasori Naruto's eyes widened in surprise. Are they trying to start a war? It would seem so, if they managed to get a foothold in the hidden grass. They could cut off the supply line and possibly move to the outer villages and possibly boast their ninja forces. That's not good for the Leaf Village. It's not, but do you have what I asked you for? Kabuto held his hand out and had an expectant look on his face. Well shit. Make it quick, I don't have all day. I got it right here. Naruto reached behind him to grab a kunai and shove it right in Kabuta's head. My oh my, what do we have here? The voice of Orochimaru came out of nowhere. Orochimaru. Kabuto and Naruto Sasori jumped back. Damn it, I checked my tracks. How did you find out? Kabuto asked with chakra scalpels activated. Orochimaru chuckled and gave the slight signal to Kabuto which he caught. Before Naruto could say anything he was struck which dispelled the transformation around him. Naruto was now standing on the bridge with a grin on his face. The attack did nothing to him and he simply dispelled the transformation. When Kabuto and Orochimaru saw who it was they took a step back in fear. Why is he here? I can't beat him with my body in this condition, if only I had Sasuke's body. Stop whatever it is you are thinking. Even if you had that Uchiha's body, you still wouldn't be able to defeat me. Naruto crossed his arms and had a confident look on his face. Orochimaru scowled at Naruto. This brat was really a problem, if only he had tried harder to kill him in the Forest of Death. Are you going to tell the rats to come out? Orochimaru looked to where the others were hiding. Naruto turned his back to them. "Hey you guys. Come on out." The Budo was about to rush in and strike Naruto in the back until Orochimaru stopped him. "Don't, he is simply baiting you." Orochimaru hissed to his loyal subordinate. The Budo scowled at his own weakness. He then watched as Sakura, Kakashi, and the most surprising of all Gurren landed on the bridge. "Wow, so many strong ninjas just for us. I feel proud. You won't be feeling anything soon." Gurren cracked her knuckles and got ready to kill her former master. "If you couldn't kill me years ago, how would you kill me now?" Orochimaru asked in a mocking tone. He would have said more if it weren't for the blue flash that appeared in his face. It was Naruto fucking Uzumaki. "Don't worry about her, worry about me." Naruto punched Orochimaru in the chest so hard that he heard bones break and was sure his ribcage was now cracked to all hell. Orochimaru was sent flying through trees for miles, causing a path of destruction including fallen trees, trenches, and spilled blood. "I'll take care of this guy, Gurren. You handle him." Naruto then left in a lightning bolt. "You heard him, I'll take care of this guy." Gurren summoned swords made from crystals and charged Kabuto who used chakra scalpels. "Damn, I need to go and back up Lord Orochimaru." Kabuto spared a glance to where his master was and got a slash across his chest from Gurren. "Pay attention." Gurren then sliced her blades again, but Kabuto, who was now paying attention, was able to dodge them. Gurren increased her speed to land a solid hit which sent the glasses-wearing teen into the trees. Gurren jumped over there and slammed one of her blades into his chest, causing him to spit up blood. Gurren smirked sadistically and turned the blade in order to cause more pain. "And then not be bad." Kabuto spit up some blood. If only I was real." Kabuto then turned into mud and Gurren scowled in anger. She looked around to see him running towards Naruto. "No, you don't." Gurren slammed her hands onto the ground and crystals shot up and was ready to skewer Kabuto. Crystal landfill. Kabuto had to use athleticism he didn't know he had in order to dodge. He was still cut and got some scratches from some spikes. Kabuto had to use a medical chakra to heal the wound on his chest and other scratches he just received. He tossed down a smoke bomb in order to come up with a plan out of this. "Damn, she seems to have gotten stronger, I don't think I would be able to beat her head on." Kabuto pulled out a kunai and got ready to move. That was until he saw Gurren come out of the crystal shard he was leaning behind. Gurren stabbed him in the shoulder. She was going for the head, but the medic was able to dodge it at the last minute. Kabuto backed up in the smoke and cursed silently. He had to duck crystal shards that were shot at him again. He had to duck and roll again from all the crystals coming his way again. "It's like she knows where I am." Kabuto once again had to dive out of the way of the crystal dragon that came his way. He noticed that the dragon cracked a crystal shard behind him. Gurren had trapped him in some kind of crystal circle. An idea already formed in his head. "Is that the best you could do, weakling? I see why Orochimaru-sama never wanted your body if you were this weak." Kabuto blocked more crystal shards. "As if I give a damn." Gurren launched a volley of crystal shards that gleamed in the light towards Kabuto. The attacks missed but ended up hitting the place where the crack was which had got bigger from the last attack. "I don't even see why you even came. You can't even hit me." Kabuto felt Gurren's chakra spike and knew he had this in the bag. "You're dead." Gurren flashed through more hand signs and the massive crystal dragon formed behind her with gleaming red eyes. She sent her hands towards Kabuto who actually freaked out a bit from the size of the attack. "I have to time this perfectly or it's over for me." Kabuto sent chakra into his legs and his heart pumped at an intense speed, sending more blood to his legs. He jumped out of the way at the last second and watched with a smirk as the dragon smashed right through the crystal shards that were around them. Kabuto quickly dashed out the opening, taking advantage of the dust cloud that was blocking him. "Now all I have to do is go and help my lord." Kabuto began to run in the direction where he heard explosions and could feel Orochimaru's chakra depleting fast. "Alright, let's move." Kakashi said to Sakura who jumped off. The silver-haired man summoned a lighting blade to his hand and dashed towards Kabuto with his Sharingan exposed. Kakashi tried to pierce Kabuto's heart but the glasses-wearing teen moved at the last minute. "Gotta be quicker than that." Kabuto smirked at Kakashi who only smiled back. Kabuto's danger senses went off at the last minute. He looked up with fear in his eyes. Sakura was coming down with a heel kick that would no doubt leave him 6 feet under. Kabuto channeled chakra into his back where it would hit him in order to try and soften the blow. "Ah!" Sakura landed heel first on Kabuto's back which sent him into the ground. The impact sent tremors throughout the earth. The ground cracked and Kabuto spit out blood from the impact of the kick hitting his spine. The ground exploded like a geyser which sent another wave of destruction everywhere. Sakura, Gurren, and Kakashi landed outside the 10 feet deep crater that had Kabuto laying in the ground face first. They slid down the side and stepped closer to Kabuto who wasn't moving. Gurren made another crystal sword and stabbed Kabuto right in the heart. She wiggled the blade around just to make sure he was dead. He is dead for sure. Gurren grinned down at the guy she had wanted to kill for a long time. Kabuto melted, revealing a hole under his body. The group was shocked once again at Kabuto getting away once again. Damn. Sakura cruised at the glasses-wearing team getting away again. Gurren was no better, he had escaped from her once again. Calm down you two. We put him in an almost death-like state, wherever he is, he will most likely die. Kakashi tried to calm them down before they blew a casket. Naruto was currently staring down a glaring Orochimaru. Naruto had completely outclassed Orochimaru that whole fight. He wasn't even wearing his normal grin or anything. Just bored. What a boring partner Orochimaru was. Is summoning snakes and jumping out of your body the only thing you know how to do? Orochimaru's glares intensified. The boy was already strong from a young age, but now he was even stronger and holding back on him of all people. You'll die boy, you can't keep up with me for too much longer. Fighting with someone like you is nothing more than child's play for me. Naruto said and then flexed his hands and got ready to attack. Cocky brat, I'll kill you. Orochimaru dashed towards Naruto with great speed. Naruto looked boredly towards the approaching Snake Sannin. Naruto only grabbed the hand that was aimed for his face with his left hand. Naruto then punched Orochimaru in the gut, making the man go wide-eyed from the power and pain he felt. Orochimaru was sent flying back. Your false imagination of power is really pathetic. Naruto then appeared above Orochimaru and dropped down with a hand coated in chakra and punched him in the face, causing an explosion to go off that could be felt all the way to where the rest of his group was. When the smoke from the explosion cleared, it showed Naruto standing alone in a crater that was 30 feet deep and 20 feet wide. So he somehow escaped. But he didn't escape in one piece. Naruto looked at the arm of Orochimaru he had managed to grab before he switched bodies. Naruto looked over and saw the rest of the group coming towards him. When they arrived he saw the disappointed look on Gurren's face. What's the matter Gurren-chan? Naruto walked over and grabbed her hand tightly. Gurren sent him a thankful smile. I failed to do what you asked of me and didn't kill Kabuto. Gurren looked down when she said that, only to have her chin lifted and to see the smiling face of Naruto. It's fine, I bet you kicked his ass though, didn't you? The ecstatic look on Gurren's face was all he needed to know. I sure did. Don't even worry, we can track them down and finish them once and for all. How can we do that Naruto? Kakashi asked. He got a smirk from the armor-clad blonde. I can still sense their chakra and it is not far off, but it only seems that Orochimaru managed to get away because I don't feel his butt buddy near him. So does that mean Kabuto is dead? Gurren asked, a little too happy. Maybe or he just didn't get to Orochimaru. Naruto then put Gurren over his shoulder, making the women get out a surprise deep. Anyways, let's go before he gets away. Naruto dashed off leaving Sakura and Kakashi behind. You heard brother. Sakura threw Kakashi over her shoulder and also dashed off behind Naruto. Let's go. Sometimes, I really hate these kids. Kakashi thought while drowning in despair and shame at being carried like a sack of potatoes. Naruto and company appeared outside what looked like a fake tree that had an opening on the inside. Well this seems to be the place. Naruto put Gurren down who wobbled for a bit at the fast speeds. Yay, but how do we get in? We obviously can't just go through the front door. Kakashi said. Simple, we just blew this bitch up. Naruto said and flew up to the sky and got ready for his jutsu. Should we really be letting him do this? Sakura asked, looking up at Naruto. Most likely not, but it will make things easier if we ignore all the traps and just bomb the place. Kakashi said. You guys should get back a safe distance, shit is about to get really destructive. Naruto shouted down to his team which was a little too close. Seeing everyone was a good enough distance away from him he got ready. The clouds covered the bright blue sky which quickly became heavy storm clouds. Thunderclap. A huge lightning bolt shot down from the clouds and impacted the hidden base, causing shockwaves to be sent all throughout the forest and trees to be uprooted. When everything cleared it showed the base had been completely destroyed and was even on fire in some places. There was a huge hole showing the inside of the base which had odd patterns going up and down the wall. He was sure there were a couple of dead people somewhere. Alright, let's get all those who are hiding. Water formed from thin air by Naruto and was sent down like a waterfall into the base of Orochimaru. This would tear down the weak walls and bring people to vision. I'm not done just yet. Naruto sent down lightning blasts into the water to finish anyone off. He then felt Orochimaru's chakra and someone else's. Naruto dropped down to where his team was. Let's move in. Naruto left with everyone else to where he felt Orochimaru and the other person's chakra. Arriving at the scene, everyone could see a hole blasted in the roof of the hideout. They all went to the hole which let them see none other than Sasuke Uchiha and Orochimaru. Well would you look at the little traitor. It seems the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Naruto crossed his arms and looked at the two with cold eyes. Sasuke glared at Naruto and activated his 3-Tomo Sharingan. Don't ever compare me to him. You know I beat your brother 3 years ago, he was really strong, and I can clearly see you are not on his level. Naruto said almost mockingly. Sasuke scowled even deeper and glared harder, he then raised his hand to the sky. Naruto looked shocked for a second before he wiped it away. Are you challenging me? Naruto asked. Sasuke scoffed. You are nothing to an Uchiha and that goes for your clan as well. Naruto's look then turned deadly and his power poured out. He wasn't the only one. Gurren, who was an adoptive member of the Uzumaki, took great pride in being given the chance at a new life, and she would not let such disrespect go unpunished. Sakura, who was also very close to the clan, sent her former crush a glare. Any feeling of hope she had for her former teammate was crushed with those words he said. Even Kakashi sent his former favorite student a glare. He wondered where he went wrong with the boy and felt a little pity for the boy because he knew what was about to happen. Final words of the Uchiha. Naruto set and disappeared from everyone's view. Naruto appeared behind Sasuke with his sword drawn. Be grateful that you were slain by the moonlight blade. Sasuke was about to say something until his view went upside down and then darkness overtook him. His head fell to the ground with a thud. Orochimaru looked at what happened with wide eyes. He began to panic, all his hard work had been wiped away in an instant, all because of Naruto Uzumaki. He looked at Naruto who didn't have a hint of remorse at what he had just done. An intense rage then took over Orochimaru. I'll kill you. Orochimaru launched himself at the blonde who simply readied his longsword. No matter how tough you make yourself out to be. This is the end for you. Naruto said right before he slashed Orochimaru in various points on the body. Moonlight sword style. Sleet storm. Orochimaru's body then fell into multiple pieces. Blood flew everywhere and his inner organs dropped to the floor. Naruto looked at the two ninja he had just slain. It was another body for his moonlight blade which seemed to hum. Naruto raised the blade up to his face. You are really insatiable, you know that. The blade hummed which sounded like laughter if Naruto was being serious. Naruto-kun, you should destroy the Uchiha's eyes. Kasumi's voice echoed in his head. Yay, someone might come after his body for that. Naruto walked over to the head of Sasuke and covered his fingers in wind chakra and jammed his fingers in his eyes. Moving them around to be sure he got the job done. Naruto, is that really necessary? Sakura asked a little green in the face at what Naruto was doing. Yay, don't want anyone to take his eyes and cause more trouble. Naruto then stood up and sealed the two in a scroll so he could show his mother and get the money for killing these two. Alright, let's get back to the village. Hokage office. Naruto appeared in the office with a flash of blue light. Mom, shit got ugly. Tsunade opened a drawer filled with sake at the conversation that was about to go down. Start from the beginning. Tsunade took a swig. Naruto then began to give her a detailed report of what went down during the mission. He told her about how he transformed into Sasori in order to fool the spy which turned out to be Kabuto who managed to escape. Gurren had stepped up to explain her fight with the glasses-wearing loser is how she put it. Once done explaining her fight, Gurren stepped back in order to let Naruto finish. Naruto told her about how he was beating the shit out of her former teammate who was weakened. Tsunade wasn't that surprised that her son called Orochimaru a boring dance partner. Yes, the snake was weak, but he was a S-rank ninja with multiple victories under his belt. He then ran away when I was about to finish his ass, but you know there is no hiding from me. Naruto said with pride in his tone, making Tsunade roll her eyes at Naruto bragging about his sensing abilities. Yes, can you get back to the report? Tsunade was already on her second bottle of sake which was becoming empty. Once we tracked him down, we found his base and I blew it up with a jutsu of mine. Once the place was destroyed I flooded it with a powerful water jutsu and then added some lighting onto it. Naruto said all of this like he was just talking about how his day went. Tsunade got a sweat drop at how Naruto just said he destroyed a base and all the people in it. Orochimaru and none other than the runaway Uchiha came out of the snake hole. Long story short, the Uchiha disrespected me and the clan so killed him along with his teacher. Naruto shrugged his shoulders at the loss of a clan and once comrade. Tsunade widened her eyes at Naruto's last statement. So they are both dead. Naruto only took out the scroll and tossed it to her. Tsunade caught it with ease and then set it on the desk and unsealed it, allowing the dead bodies of Sasuke and Orochimaru to appear on the desk. Tsunade gazed at the bodies with a critical eye to make sure this was no joke and they were actually dead. I see, this is the real deal. You should expect nothing less from none other than Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto crossed his arms and smirked at the Hokage. His features then changed into a serious face. Now what is this I hear about the stone sending 500 ninjas to the land of grass? Tsunade also got serious. That is true, and I have already sent ninjas to confront them, along with backing up the land of grass. Gurren, Kakashi, and Sakura who didn't know about this gasped in shock. They had no doubt that this would spark the fourth great ninja war. But you want me to go and back them up? I could easily wipe that force out. Naruto asked, knowing full well he had the power to make such things happen. I would like to, but you have been requested for a mission by the princess of the land of spring in 2 days. Plus, the force I've sent will be good enough to handle this. A smile crossed Naruto's face for a little. He hadn't seen her in a long time, but did have a good farewell. What does she need? Sakura, Kakashi, and Gurren left the room to do their own thing. He would see Gurren whenever he got home, and Sakura was most likely going to hang out with her boyfriend. Which reminded him he needed to have a talk with that bony fella. I need you to protect the materials we will be receiving from the land of snow. If it's just me, I can simply teleport them here. Tsunade shook her head. I forgot to mention. She requested Rukia Uzumaki and your team. Naruto's eyes widened. No way. I am cool with doing the mission with my team, but I can't go with Rukia-chan. My missions are way too dangerous for her. Tsunade only sighed at this. She knew he would react like this. Look, Naru. Tsunade's look softened and spoke in a motherly tone to Naruto. Rukia-chan isn't a little girl anymore, and you can't keep treating her like that. She is strong enough to be placed as an A-rank ninja in the bingo book. You saw firsthand how strong she was, and you will also be there to protect her. Tsunade had gotten up from her desk and walked over to Naruto and was able to look him directly in the eyes. If you keep trying to baby her, she won't grow any stronger, and it will only make her eager to leave the village and explore for herself. Tsunade then brought Naruto in for a hug. I am worried just as much as you are. I am the one who has to send her out on these missions, and there is also a war coming. I don't want to see any more of the people I love die to this cursed ninja lifestyle. Tsunade put her head onto Naruto's chest. The blonde, being shocked at seeing his normally strong mother in such a fragile state right now, wrapped his arms around her in a protective manner and went over her words. Cursed ninja lifestyle. Naruto then remembered seeing the destroyed land of his clan's village and all the skeletons of the kids and innocent people. That was not something he wanted to happen to Rukia or anyone who had a family they loved. I already have plans on fixing the shinobi lifestyle, this only hardens my resolve to make such changes. Out with the old and in with the new. Naruto pulled back from the hug and had a determined look for what reason Tsunade didn't know. Naruto gave her a kiss on the forehead much like she did to him. It will all work out in the end. Just trust in me. Naruto wiggled the green necklace she had given him. Naruto then flashed away, leaving Tsunade in the office to get back to her paperwork so she could go to the compound and get drunk. Uzumaki compound. Naruto appeared inside the compound. It was the afternoon and mostly everyone was relaxing around the place. Kin was setting out drinks for everyone in her maid's outfit. The black-haired girl then saw him and smiled brightly. Naruto-sama. The shout alerted everyone to Naruto being home, and they all waved. Naruto gave Kin a hug since she was holding him with a smile. So how's it going? Naruto asked, giving the girl a kiss. Great, Naruto-sama, everyone is having a good time. Why are you here? A voice he hadn't heard asked in an irritated tone. Well, everyone except her. Kin said and sighed at the woman who was making her way to Naruto. And who are you? Naruto asked with a raised eyebrow. If the spiritual pressure he could feel was anything to go by, then he had a good idea. He saw the woman give him a rather arrogant smile. So no Shirayuki. The now named Zanpakuto was a beautiful woman. She had clean pale skin with hair white as the richest snow that fell down to her lower back. Her hair was parted by a blue star clip on the left side of her hair. Icy blue eyes that looked similar to his in a way. Sode was wearing an all-white kimono that had large sleeves, a long hem, and it had a pale yellow-green obi wrapped around her waist. Naruto looked at his girls behind her who were making lewd hand gestures and giving him thumbs up. This was Anko, Gurren, Taiya, Tsunami who was a secret freak, and even the shy Shizune. Naruto sent them all a wink and turned back to his daughter's sword spirit. The woman really needed to chill out and he knew just what to do. Were you even listening to me, idiot? Shirayuki yelled in his face with her blue eyes glaring at him. 5 minutes later. Oh yes. Fuck me, master. You like that? I love it. You're hitting all the right spots. Naruto was thrusting into Shirayuki in missionary position like a bull. He was showing no mercy and destroying her pussy like no other. His dick was reshaping her insides while he was sucking on her left breast. I am about to see cum. Shirayuki moans out. Her mind was going blank and she could barely think. All that mattered was her master Naruto giving her a good fucking like he was doing now. He had picked her up and brought her to his room and the next thing she knew, she was calling Naruto master and begging to be fucked. Cum for me. Naruto whispered in her ear and bit on her ear, sending the sword spirit over the edge. The white-haired woman let out a scream and curled her toes and let out a massive orgasm to the likes she had never had before. Shirayuki panted with Naruto still inside of her. She needed to catch her breath. That W was amazing, master. Naruto only grinned down at the white-haired women. We are not done yet. He then grabbed her shaking legs and pushed them back to her head and was now in the mating press, ready to knock her out. She panicked. Wait. Let me rest. She was cut off when Naruto thrusted into her, causing her tongue to stick out her mouth while her head shot back in pleasure. Hours later. Naruto was sitting on the couch drinking tea he got from Kin with a satisfied smirk on his face. Around him was the rest of the family, they were currently looking at the red-faced Shirayuki. It was a good thing Rukia was outside so she couldn't see her like this and not the proper women she knew. Suu? Tei asked, leaning in with a smirk. How was it? Anko asked with her own smirk. The white-haired sword spirit tried to fight off the looks until it got too much for her. It was amazing and I called him master. Everything was silent after her outburst, only making her more embarrassed that she said that. She couldn't believe it herself, Naruto was so loving and he hit all the right spots. He would make her scream his name and when he made those clones she had passed out from a sex coma. Naruto was a beast and she had submitted to his dominance. They all started to laugh at her, causing her to go red from embarrassment and she ran out to the back where Rukia was out training. Naruto calmed down from his laughing fit and got up from his seat and walked to the backyard to see what Rukia was up to. He was wearing orange shorts with black slip-on sandals with no socks. He was wearing a baggy white t-shirt with a red Uzumaki spiral on the back. Naruto watched as Rukia performed different stances and slices along with attacks. Heido, number 33 Sakatsui. Rukia held her right arm extended like she was about to perform a palm thrust and her left hand on her right forearm. A blue ball gathered and Naruto raised an eyebrow at the attack that looked similar to his storm release supernova. Naruto saw Rukia launch the attack with immense speed and saw it cause a massive explosion that shook the ground. Naruto then saw Rukia disappear in her incomplete flash step above the explosion site and perform an overhead slice that shot giant ice spikes from her sword. However, Naruto saw a flaw in her movements. Good job Rukai-chan. But can you do that flash step again? Rukia looked over with surprise at Naruto before she registered what Naruto asked of her. The purple-eyed girl nodded and left in another flash step. There it is again. Naruto narrowed his eyes and flew over to the panting girl. I've noticed a problem in your flash step. Rukia widened her eyes in surprise. She knew something was wrong with it, but she just couldn't figure it out. What is it, father? Can you help me? Rukia asked Naruto with hope in those royal purple eyes of hers. It had been a while since she asked him for help in her training, not since she first started to use a sword. He was about to ruffle her hair like he always did, but stopped when he remembered that Tsunade said not to treat her like a kid. So he only smirked. Of course I can. This made his daughter smile and almost jump with happiness. Now with your flash step it seems that you seem to be using it wrong. How so? Rukia asked taking a sip of water. It's more of a leap in space and time and not constant steps like you are using it. You want to leap off a foot and not jump off your flat foot how you are doing it. What do you mean, father? Rukia asked Naruto, not getting what he was saying. I'll just show you. Naruto said with a smirk. How? You don't know the flash step. The smirk Naruto gave her made warning signs go off in her head. She watched Naruto channel wind chakra in the bottom of his feet and saw him bounce for a minute. Like this. Naruto then skipped out of sight for Rukia, making her go wide-eyed. She then saw a bunch of Narutos flashing all around her. Just bounce. One of the Narutos said. He stopped and appeared in front of her with a smirk. How did you do that? Rukia and Shirayuki were amazed at Naruto being able to copy the flash step with just his raw speed and wind chakra. I simply cover my feet in wind chakra and just bounce all around while also using my own speed and force of how hard you push off the air. However, Naruto stopped and disappeared again and started to flash around at even faster speeds and was only a blur to Rukia, she couldn't see him at all. This is the body flicker jutsu, a much better version of what I just did and also a watered down version of your flash step that could surpass all of those in speed. Naruto said with pride aimed towards Rukia, who only smiled. Let me give it a go. Rukia then bounced off her foot and started to do multiple flash steps. Naruto watched as he saw Rukia flashing around with her black shahakusho that had a red Uzumaki swirl on the back. She was still wearing that white teko. Naruto still saw a problem in her flash step and it had more to do with her blade. To lose. Naruto reached out and caught Rukia, who had lost her balance and almost fell. Rukia had an embarrassed blush because Naruto caught her over his shoulder. Thanks dad. No problem, now I saw another weakness in your flash steps. Naruto put her down so she could pay attention better. When you flash step you weaken the grip on your sword, which can lead to you dropping it during transition or it being knocked out of her hand, which would lead to your death. Naruto said in a serious tone to Rukia, who had a serious face, giving her dad full attention. I see. I indeed sometimes fumble around with my blade when I move at fast speeds. Rukia held her head down in shame until she felt Naruto pull her into his chest. Now, don't you get all sad because I said you have some weakness. Just train until you remove those weaknesses. You got me? Naruto said, patting the girl's back. She was still shorter than him, only going to his upper abdomen. Naruto smiled down at his daughter who was leaning against him. She has really grown. Naruto recalled the times when she was much younger and still called him Papa. I get it, Dad. I just want to make you and the others proud of me. Rukia said, stepping back from the hug with a smile. We are already proud of you and we always will be. Naruto said with a smile. Master is right, we will always be proud of you no matter what. Shirayuki said through the mental link she had with Rukia. Rukia's eyes widened. Why did you call my dad Master? Shirayuki panicked and blushed, but no one was able to see it thankfully. And then no our reason, I simply lost a bet and have to call him that F from now on. Okay. Rukia said with suspicion in her tone. She would have asked more if it wasn't for Naruto bringing her from her thoughts. Alright, I'll train you until our mission in 2 days. We have a mission together. Rukia was happy to be going on a mission with her father and was now pumped up. She could feel the ice running in her veins and got ready to train with her father. Outside the hidden grass. The group of 500 Leaf Ninja were standing across from the hidden stone ninjas, who also numbered at 500. The battle was about to commence and things would get bloody and not everyone would leave out alive. We fight towards peace and let this battle bring us a step closer. Yugao Yuzuki yelled out to her forces. She was the leader of this small army. The woman gripped her sword and raised it into the air, making the Leaf Ninja cheer out. Let's do this. Haruka said with determination. He had gotten back into training after seeing how strong his former students had become over the years. Tsunade seeing this had drafted him for the battle. Damn straight, now let's kick some stone ass. Genma shouted. The tree leaves shall bud anew this day, charge. Yugao shouted and charged with her sword ready. 2 days later. Rukia flashed and stepped behind Naruto. She went for a downward slash, but not to her surprise Naruto disappeared from her view. Naruto appeared above Rukia and delivered a falling axe kick to her. Rukia tried to put her sword to block, but the strength from Naruto was just too great. Rukia flew into the ground and formed a crater causing her to also drop her blade. Naruto landed next to her without a sound. Didn't I tell you not to let your blade go? Rukia coughs and gets her breath together. I tried, my arms are just tingling right now from your kick. Don't worry about it, you need to put some muscle on that little body of yours and eat some steak. Naruto then stopped and got a teasing grin on his face. Maybe then your flat chest will grow. Rukia got a tick mark and her face became red with anger and embarrassment. She got to her feet in an instant and arched her arm. Hakuren. A large and powerful avalanche is launched from the tip of Rukia's blade. It hits Naruto, sending him into the house frozen in ice. Idiot fathers. Naruto encased in ice appeared in the living room. Though he was trapped he still had a grin on his face. Haku got up from her seat with a sigh and walked over to Naruto. What did you say this time, Naruto-kun? Haku was about to get Naruto out of it until he just burst out of it. I only said she needs to eat and maybe her boobs will grow. Naruto walked over to Haku and planted a kiss on her lips. So ready for our mission? Yes, it will be a nice change of pace from working at the hospital and only going out on supply runs. Great, we just need Anko-chan and we will be ready. Anko then jumped on Naruto's back and wrapped her legs around his waist while he held her by her juicy ass. Speak of the devil. I heard you were looking for me. Anko nuzzled Naruto's face making them both laugh. Better room mom and dad. Rukia said coming in from the back. Over the years Naruto was gone she had grown closer to the older women in her life and just saw them all as mothers. It may seem strange to others, but the whole clan was strange. If we do that we wouldn't make it in time for the mission. Naruto said with a smirk making Rukia blush in embarrassment at what Naruto was hinting at. Stop saying such things out loud, have you no shame? Rukia was not as free-going as Naruto. She had a wild side like the rest of the clan, but she had a much better handle on it. Oh come on little bunny, have some fun. Anko said from Naruto's back. Anyways, are you ready to go? Naruto asked Rukia. I have to grab something from my room and say goodbye to Chappie. Oh, let me come and talk to the little rascal. Naruto walked with Rukia to her room with Haku and Anko still on his back. They opened the door to see the perfectly clean room of Rukia. She had her bed against the wall in the corner with a white stuffed rabbit. She had a white carpet where the Snow White bunny Chappie laid. There were other things you normally kept in your room. Rukia had a mini ice box in her room where she kept her secret stash of carrots and lemonade. Chappie popped his head up and hopped towards Rukia who opened her arms for him. I'll be going on a mission soon. Chappie licked her face making Rukia giggle. Just go through the rabbit door if you need something. Rukia had made a doggy door but changed the name to rabbit hole. What's up Chappie? Naruto started to rub the bunny's head who leaned into his hand. I am glad you are getting along with my daughter. Yes, Chappie is just a sweetheart. Haku said and rubbed the white rabbit's head. Okay, let's get going, we wouldn't want the Hokage storming into the place. Anko said with a chuckle. I know what you mean, she has a real mean streak. Naruto said and walked to the door. Okay, just let me grab one more thing. Rukia said and went to her dresser and pulled out some fancy white goggles that she placed on her forehead while she moved her headband to her left arm bicep. Why are you wearing goggles? Naruto questions with a tilt of his head. Well, I just think they look really cool. Rukia said with a bright smile. If you like, then that's all that matters. Let's just go before Granny Tsunade blows a casket. Naruto placed a hand on Rukia's shoulder while Haku wrapped her arms around him. He left in a blue flash. Hokage office. We are about to leave Hokage-sama. Rukia said with a bow, making Tsunade smile at the young girl. Yay mom, so don't grow any gray hair while we're gone. Naruto said with a smirk, making Anko and Haku giggle while Rukia elbowed him in the side. Why can't you be more like your daughter? Tsunade said with a giant tick mark on her forehead. If I was like that I wouldn't be as bad as. Naruto patted his chest, which was covered by a regular Jonin vest. He was wearing the regular Leaf Ninja outfit, except he had a Uzumaki flag on his waist, along with a black sword holster horizontally on his lower back. He was also wearing fingerless gloves which had a metal plating on the back of the hand. Well, I hope Rukia doesn't follow in your footsteps. Tsunade said with crossed arms. We don't need her flying around with ice dragons. She looked up to see Naruto and Rukia crossing something out on a list. You wrote that down. Tsunade yelled, slamming her hands on the desk. Naruto and Rukia looked away with a sheepish look. Nuo. They both said at the same time. Get out. Tsunade yelled. Old hag. Naruto said and flashed away, dodging the desk that Tsunade threw at him. Naruto along with the rest of everyone appeared in the sky. They began to fall to the ground. The girls let out screams at falling from so high up while Naruto was simply staring at them in deadpan. It's like they forgot I can fly. Naruto thought to himself. He bit his finger and went through hand signs for a summoning jutsu. A puff of smoke and everyone was caught by two thunderbirds. It was Blanco and Negro. Sup you two. Hello master. Both birds said at the same time. Naruto looked around, not seeing Rukia. He then felt for her chakra and looked up to see her standing in thin air. Now that's impressive. Naruto said with a whistle. Everyone else looked up to see Rukia standing there. Rukia-chan. How are you doing that? Haku questioned Rukia with a shocked face. Well, I don't know, I just did it. Naruto narrowed his eyes towards her feet and tried to feel for wind chakra but didn't feel it at all. Must have to deal with her spiritual power. This was something done on instinct. Naruto simply gave a proud smile. At least I know she has the moves of the shinobi killer. Rukia then descended to the bird Naruto was on, which was Negro. Alright, that was awesome. Is that how it feels when you fly, dad? Rukia said with excitement. Something like that, but you were only standing there, so next time try to fly off. Naruto said with a smirk. He then rubbed Negro's head. Now take us to the land of spring. The two thunderbirds zoomed through the sky with a mighty caw. Land of spring. The group was now jumping through the trees of the country since they had got off the birds a while ago. They sent Naruto another message from Hiro telling him she wanted to see him for some training. He would go see her after this mission before she raided the village looking for him. Alright, we are almost there. Naruto said to his team. They all nodded in confirmation. So what is this place like? Haku asked. Well, last time we saw it, there was snow everywhere until we activated a big-ass generator. It is most likely a grass field with mountaintops filled with grass and trees now. Naruto answers Haku's question without missing a beat from tree jumping. Naruto then stopped on the next branch, making everyone stop on his tree. The blonde wasn't really focused on what was going on, he closed his eyes and reached out with his senses. Naruto-kun? Anko asked with a head tilt. She saw Naruto drop to a knee and place his index finger on the ground. They all knew he was trying to sense something. He only got in this position if he was double-checking. This meant the person was either strong or it was multiple people. They then saw his face split into a full grin. Or he was about to have the fight of his life. Naruto then got up with his grin still in place. Let's go. Naruto dashed off at a faster pace, causing the others to try and keep up with him. The blonde fingered the sheath of his sword with barely contained excitement. Naruto-kun, what is you so excited? Anko asked the question everyone wanted to know. It's time. He simply replied, not really giving anything away and only bringing more questions to their mind. They all kept jumping until something shot out of the trees at blinding speeds and connected with Naruto, who threw his fist out with a grin to match what just collided with him. The force from which they collided blew the others back, causing just Naruto and the figure to be in the tree. Rukia came back to her senses and saw her dad in an intense taijutsu battle with what looked like a woman. She saw Naruto block and dodge a round of punches. Naruto then kneed the person in the stomach and grabbed them by the stomach and flipped them into a tree, causing them to crash through it. She watched as Naruto flew after them with a grin on his face. Naruto and the person were jumping through the trees and clashing at the same time at speed she could barely keep up with. It seems her dad was still holding back when he showed her his speed. Naruto received an uppercut which shot his head back and got several punches to the gut which was finished by a straight kick, sending him flying through a horde of trees. Rukia saw Naruto get up from the tree and launched back in the fight with some blood coming from his lip. However, he was still grinning and seemed to be having fun. His fight then resumed and he seemed to have the upper hand in the fight this time. She watched as Naruto ducked a left hook and rose up with his own uppercut, making the woman rise off her feet. Naruto backflips in the air and then zoomed back down with a dynamic entry which landed with the woman's stomach, sending her crashing into a grassy plain, causing a trench to form with her body in it. Naruto then hovered a good distance in the air and had a smirk on his face. "Well, it seems you are looking submissive and breedable as ever," Naruto said with a playful smirk down to the women who had gotten up and now had red cheeks. "You stupid bird brain. Stop saying such nonsense to me," Kuritsuchi yelled with a tick mark on her forehead. Naruto laughed at the black-haired teenage girl who only seemed to get angrier. "Sorry Kuritsuchi, it's just been so long since I've seen you and I just couldn't help myself, little bumblebee." The named Kuritsuchi now started to release her chakra which melted the ground due to her bloodline. Naruto released his chakra as well, causing the sky to darken and thunder to sound. "I'm going to beat you this time." Kuritsuchi yelled and went through hand signs and slammed her hands on the ground. Lava shot up from the ground like a geyser. "So you want to play it like that?" Naruto also went through hand signs of his own for one of his most powerful jutsu. The familiar three heads of Arashi started to form. When the beast finished he rushed towards Kuritsuchi. The pink-eyed teen was on top of a giant golem covered in lava and earth. It was big like a biju and matched the size of the towering Arashi. She rushed towards Naruto with a yell and clashed with her golem with his three-headed dragon beast, causing an explosive force to blow away everything in range. Rukia was currently slashing her sword at her massive opponent. He looked about 7 feet tall and fat mixed with muscle on his body. He had a full beard and thick sideburns. His name was Katsuchi. A strong Jounin ninja in the Hidden Stone Forces. Rukia was watching her dad fight the black-haired girl when she had to block an attack from this person. Rukia was sent into a tree and spit up some blood. She got to her feet shakily and wiped the blood from her lip and got ready to do battle again. Despite the situation she was in, there was a grin on her face just like her father's. She too enjoyed a good battle now and then, but not to her father's level. "Is that it? I can still keep dancing," Rukia said and got her sword ready once again. "Why are you grinning like that? I am going to kill you." Katsuchi charged Rukia at great speeds for someone his size. Rukia charged back at him to his surprise and met his fist with her sword. Naruto punched away Kuritsuchi to see Rukia in a fight with Katsuchi and hoped she could pull through in this fight. He knew she was strong, but could she defeat an elite Jounin on her own? This would be the strongest opponent she has faced yet. Naruto's attention was stopped when he was punched from the top of Arashi's head and sent flying. "Pay attention." Kuritsuchi flew down to Naruto, leaving their two giant beasts to duke it out. She puffed out her chest and shot a giant lava dragon towards him. Naruto saw this and went through his own hand signs. Storm release. King Thunder. A giant thunderbird made from his bloodline raced towards the lava dragon and exploded with tremendous force. The blonde flashed towards the top of Arashi and sent a giant storm fist towards the lava golem, hitting it in the face, making it stumble back and cause great damage to the surroundings. Naruto saw Kuritsuchi flash back on top of the lava golem. She had lost her hidden stone flak jacket and was now in her red shirt that had one sleeve. It had a couple of burns along with holes. "Seems you survived the blast, but not untouched. You want to talk? Half your flak jacket is destroyed and you have a busted lip," Kuritsuchi yelled towards Naruto. They had been fighting for a good amount of time, but he was always healing, and the only signs of showing he was taking damage was his clothes being destroyed. Yet, through all this he was still giving her an excited smirk. He loved to fight too much. "Don't worry little bee, this face that you love so much will be back to new in no time." Naruto almost burst out laughing when he saw the vein on her forehead throb. "You're going down birdbrain." She charged with her golem letting out a roar and a small smile on her face, one which Naruto noticed. They were enemies, but it was more like a platonic relationship if you ask Naruto. "Doubtful." Naruto charged with a smile and Arashi letting out his own roar. Rukia flashes step away and forms ice spikes in the air and sends them down towards her enemy, who made an earth wall and blocked them all. Katsuchi turned the wall into a dragon's head and made it launch towards Rukia who widened her eyes. Rukia formed her own hand sign and formed an ice mirror and quickly jumped into it, evading the dragon. Crystal mirrors started to form all around Kitsuchi. The man then saw Rukia appear in all of the mirrors. Rukia then launched out of all the mirrors with intense speeds that the man could barely keep up with. Kitsuchi then began to get slashes all over his body at rapid speeds, and he began to lose blood along with patience. This was the daughter of that monster Naruto Uzumaki. If he could kill her, there is no way he wouldn't be praised for his actions. He then received a kick to his face and a slash to his back, along with an ice spike in his thigh. Kitsuchi let out a yell and earth spike shot from the ground, piercing all of the mirrors. Kitsuchi then encased himself in a stone pillar to avoid being hit from the rainfall of ice spikes falling down to him. He was also going to take this time to try and come up with a plan to defeat this girl. Rukia, however, was not going to give him the time to think. This was something she learned from Naruto. Never let the enemy get a second of rest. Rukia held up her right pointer finger. Yellow light took form. Hado 61. Rikujikoro. 6 light spears appeared and rushed towards the stone pillar and pierced the stone pillar. If the muffled scream was anything to go by, she guessed it was a hit. Rukia let out a sigh at the battle being over. That will keep him trapped until he passes out from blood loss. Rukia then looked over to where Anko and Haku were. It seems they were fighting off a small army going on to be 30 stone ninja. She decided to go and help them, but they really didn't need it since Anko was on that giant snake and Haku was dashing around being only a blur. You let your guard down. A voice behind Rukia said, and pain was the next thing she knew. Kitsuchi was able to stab her in the side with a kunai before she got away completely. How are you over here? You should be trapped. Rukia said in a voice full of pain. She was holding her side where the blood was pouring. What you trapped was only a rock clone, you should really pay more attention to your surroundings. Kitsuchi then appeared in front of Rukia and laid punch after punch on her small frame. Rukia tried to block the best she could, but in hand-to-hand there was no way she could be him. She had to think of something else fast. Or this would be it for her. After dodging a punch from the man she was clearly faster than, Rukia sliced his gut, making blood gush from the wound. Using this chance to get some breathing room, an idea hit her. Let's dance. Shirayuki. Rukia's normal katana quickly turned pure white and her power increased a good amount. Kitsuchi, seeing this, scowled in anger. This brat would not outdo him. He flared his own chakra to a higher amount and felt the ground shake from their combined clashing forces. Rukia formed a single hand sign. Hidden mist jutsu. A thick mist started to form over the area of their fight, causing Kitsuchi to curse. His senses were not to a level where he could fight without his eyes. He dodged from an incoming attack using only his instincts and was able to bring up a kunai and deflect the incoming weapons. It was then he felt something crawl up his arms. Whatever it was forced both his arms behind his back and keep a tight grip on them. It was Hado number 4 Hinawa. It was meant to keep you trapped and unable to move. The mist then disappeared, allowing the stone ninja to see Rukia standing a good distance away from him. He could see her blade glowing and knew a major attack was about to come from that white blade. Consider yourself lucky for not fighting my father or there would be no mercy for you. I don't need your mercy, bitch. Kitsuchi raged, trying to escape from his containment. I'll talk. Rukia answered him calmly and emotionlessly. Her spiritual pressure spiked and she glowed with power. Rukia stabbed the ground 4 times, allowing ice to float up from the holes in the ground before it all gathered towards the tip of her sword. Sujinamai Hakurin. A giant blast of ice exploded from Rukia's sword in a beam and quickly captured Kitsuchi, along with the rest of the stone ninja. Haku and Anko were fighting. The ground was littered with giant craters and pools of lava and electric water. There was blood splashed on the along with deep cuts made from a sword. You're getting slow. Naruto performed a spinning kick which sent Kuretsuchi flying. The black-haired teen let out a cry of pain and crashed into the ground. She had to quickly roll out the way of a falling elbow drop from Naruto which destroyed the ground. How are you not getting tired? She performed hand signs and sent out a stream of cement which caught Naruto's feet. She covered her hand in thick rock and quickly charged towards Naruto with great speed and punched him in the gut, sending him flying. The Iwajunin smirked at her attack power. Naruto got up from the ground and spit out some blood. Nice punch, but I could have done better. Naruto smirked cockily at her. Say the guy with a busted lip. Naruto would have said more if it wasn't for the scream of Rukia snapping his attention to her. Naruto was about to dash off but stopped when he grabbed Kuretsuchi's leg. Don't lose focus. She had an apologetic look on her face. She didn't want to stop him from going to her. Naruto knew playtime was over. He threw her a good distance away and got ready for his final trump card. It's been fun, but now it must end. You're right, this is my all. Kuretsuchi built her chakra up and got ready for her last attack. Because I like and respect you so much, I'll show you something nobody has had the pleasure to see. Naruto's chakra exploded off him and the air became chaotic. I shall show you my all. His hair then began to get frizzy and spike up even more. Naruto's once blonde locks were slowly becoming white. Naruto looked up and it revealed he had slitted blue eyes which sparked with electricity and his hair was completely white. Everyone stopped what they were doing and looked at the source of power. And no way. Anko said in awe at Naruto's power. She was also getting a little wet at him flexing his power. Holy shit. Haku couldn't believe the power coming from Naruto. Rukia looked in amazement towards her father. She felt pride at having a dad such as Naruto and also excited to one day match his power. The three elements that made up his storm release formed around his hand. Water. Wind. Lighting. Take pride in the fact that I used this form to take you down, little B. This was a form he discovered during his 3-year training. He took his storm release to another level. He forced out all the potential from his elements and literally became one with his bloodline. If a sensor tried to sense his power they would go brain dead from the chaotic storm that was his power. Kuretsuchi took a step back in fear from Naruto's power. This was the first time she had seen him so serious fighting her. It was normally all fun and just a friendly rivalry. She began to have doubts about her own power and if she could ever match him again, his power now was out of this world. When she was going to take another step she remembered what she had been training for. It was to surpass him, become the Kage of her village, and bring a new generation of the ninja world. I've still got more. She was going to go through more hand signs, but stopped when Naruto left in a sound of static. We can fight some other time, Kuretsuchi. Naruto spoke in front of her. He then punched her in the gut so hard it knocked all the air out of her. Kuretsuchi let out a final gasp before her eyes rolled into the back of her head and lost consciousness. Naruto caught her with a smile. He laid her on the ground gently and left in a static once again. He appeared next to Rukia who was holding her side in pain. Rukia-chan. Naruto deactivated the transformation and looked on his Haku-healed Rukia. Dad. How did you get here so fast? Naruto let a small smirk cross his face. I am the fastest man alive after all. Hokage office. Tsunade was behind her desk going over the reports she had gotten from the recent battle that took part in the Land of Grass. It looked more like a war ground now, even though the battle took place outside the hidden village things still got dirty like most wars did. They had come out on top thankfully, but the cost was great. Many ninja died and a lot of children would never see their mothers or fathers again. The Land of Grass had sent them a letter saying how thankful they were. In the letter it explained how they would like to set up an alliance which would be beneficial to both sides. They would offer up their protection and receive all kinds of goods and open use to trading routes. The Leaf just had to send ninja to their land to provide protection and also teach the limited military forces they have. Tsunade stamped a piece of paper and slid it to the side. She now looked at the ninja who had fallen in battle with a sorrowful face. So many great ninja died all to protect their village in hopes of seeing a new tomorrow. It was then her eyes widened in surprise at what she was looking at. It was a death report of Iruka Yamino. He was killed by an earth jutsu and several kunai. Tsunade knew when Naruto heard about this it would not be good. He would either explode in a heat of anger and rush towards the hidden stone and wipe the place of the map or she honestly had no idea what else he would do. All that the Hokage could do is pray that he doesn't get them into a bigger mess. If there is a god up there, please have a strong grasp on Naruto when he hears this. Tsunade spoke with her head bowed and hands clasped. Praying for my return I see. The voice of her perverted teammate came to her ears. He was smiling until he saw the look of sadness on her face. What's the matter, Tsunade-chan? Iruka passed away. Those were the only words Jiraiya needed to hear come from Tsunade's beautiful lips. His mind was able to work out what that would mean for them. When Naruto heard about this he would no doubt lose his shit and with his merciless reputation, there was no doubt in his mind that Naruto wouldn't go and kill every stone ninja. This is war, things like this happen. I only wish I could find some way to stop things like this from happening. Jiraiya spoke in a saddened tone of voice. His normal joyful tone of speaking was gone and replaced with a sad look on his face. Yay, but maybe the new generation will come up with something to fulfill the dream of my grandfather. Tsunade reminisces about the times Hashirama would go on about making eternal peace in the ninja world. Well, on better news, I think I have found a location on where the leader of the Akatsuki might be. Jiraiya said, trying to shine some light on the situation. That is indeed good news, just wait for Naruto to get back and you can go and check it out. Tsunade let a smile come on her face upon hearing the best news she had received all day. The smile dropped a little when she saw Jiraiya shake his head in the negative. No princes, I should just go now and see for myself, plus, you know Naruto isn't one for sneaking around. He'd probably get irritated and blow something up. He chuckled to himself at his little joke. So. Naruto is a talented ninja with many skills, you will need backup going into unscouted enemy territory. Tsunade got up from her seat and glared at Jiraiya. Look, I know as well as anyone that Naruto is a talented ninja, but I can't wait for him to get back. I need to go while this trail is hot. Jiraiya also got up from his seat. He needed her to see things his way. There might not be another chance for them to get this kind of lead again. Naruto has had more encounters with their members than you have, Jiraiya. He surely knows how they operate now and will only help you. Tsunade said, stepping in his personal space, putting her chest up against his with her having to glare up since Jiraiya was much taller than she was. I have much more experience in this line of work than he does. It's not like I am going looking for a fight, I am just going to be in and out. If Naruto comes with me there will no doubt be a fight. Jiraiya held his stern gaze to Tsunade's gorgeous hazel eyes with a determination she hadn't seen in years. When Jiraiya thought Tsunade would no longer want to talk and go straight to punching, he was surprised when she wrapped her arms around him in a tight hug. No, Jiraiya, not you too. Tsunade buried her face in his chest. Jiraiya made a hand sign and sent the Anbu from the room. They left without a sound, knowing this was a private conversation. I don't want you to die, and I know if you go there you'll die. The village needs you, I need you. Those last words made Jiraiya's eyes widen in shock. He had wanted to hear those words his whole life. Loving the same girl for his whole life, many called him foolish, while girls thought it was cute. The legendary ninja had received many love letters throughout his life, but none of it mattered to him. There was only one girl-turned-woman he wanted in his life. Wrapping his arms around the woman, Jiraiya rested his head atop of hers and rubbed circles around her back. Don't worry, Tsunade-chan, I won't be going anywhere. Tsunade removed her head from his chest and looked up with red cheeks and puffy eyes. Taking a breath, she leaned up and planted a kiss on her old teammate's lips. Jiraiya's eyes were as wide as dinner plates. The love of his life was now kissing him on the lips. He had so many wet dreams about this and even wrote scenes about this in his book. However, now was the real deal and he could not fold under pressure. Wrapping his arms around the slim waist of Tsunade, Jiraiya started to kiss back, pouring all the love he had stored up over the years into the kiss. It was enough to make Tsunade's legs become weak and toes to curl. They broke away from the kiss with equal blushes on their faces and a trail of saliva connecting from their lips. I think we should take this somewhere private. Jiraiya said and gave Tsunade no time to answer back and simply picked her up in bridal style and left the office in a swirl of leaves. Akatsuki meeting. I have got some information you all should know. The nasty-looking figure of Zetsu spoke, standing on the finger of the Jito statue that was fucking empty. What is it? Pain asked, knowing any information Zetsu gave was great information. Sasuke Uchiha and Orochimaru have been killed. Everyone was silent in the room. It was Conan, Pain, Toby, and Itachi. Nobody spoke up due to shock that they wouldn't show. It was then everyone's eyes turned to Itachi, who was doing his best to keep a calm face and keep his emotions in check. Who killed them? Itachi's voice came out blank as ever, but everyone could tell there was an edge in his voice. It was Naruto Uzumaki. Everyone was shocked once again that the blonde leaf ninja had struck again. Nobody was more shocked than Itachi. However, he remembered what Naruto had told him at the final valley 3 years ago. Was this what he meant by "I need to hurry up"? Itachi made a mission to go and speak with Naruto face to face. There was a part of him that wanted the blonde dead, while the leaf ninja side of him knew it was the right thing to do. And Itachi was a leaf ninja first. But it didn't matter anyway, he was going to die soon, so he might as well just go out like any good leaf ninja would. That's not all, he is currently out of the village and in the land of spring, fighting off a small fleet of stone ninja who wanted to take control of the place for the technology. Zetsu added in more information. You have brought great information, Zetsu. We will use it to turn this little war around in our favor. Pain replied to Zetsu. Trying to bring confidence back to the last members, but it was not working. He could see that Itachi was not all here. Conan stayed by his side. He could not tell what Toby was thinking. He really wanted to know what the man thought about this whole situation. I've had enough. The deep voice came from the masked man of his thoughts. Toby had finally spoken up. This brat is getting in the way of our plan and just turning the world upside down. We need to get back on track. And just what are you saying? Pain turned his vision to the masked man. I, Madara Uchiha, am taking over. Pain's vision narrowed, but he didn't say anything since Madara had been the leader all along, but he didn't know that Itachi already suspected this in the first place. Pain, you will go and capture Naruto Uzumaki. He has run rampant for too long. Land of Spring. Naruto and the group were in the throne room of the castle located at the center of the town. Koyuki was seated in her throne made from gold and had red cushions. There was a worried look on her face at seeing how everyone looked beat up. They had been ushered to the throne room as soon as they made it to the gates. What happened to you guys? Koyuki questioned with worry. Naruto smiled at the concern in the princess's eyes. We simply ran into the enemy on the way here, but as you can see, we came out on top. He then looked down towards his daughter. And it's all thanks to this ninja right here. Naruto gently patted Rukia's back. He was still a little sad that she took a major blow like that. He had told her to not drop her guard and make sure the enemy was dead, but she wasn't as ruthless as he was. Much more noble and respectful. I simply did my duty as a leaf shinobi. Rukia said, respectful and a slight dust of pink on her cheeks from being the center of attention in such a situation. Oh come on, have a little more arrogance in you. That last move you did was badass. Anko said with much enthusiasm. Arrogance can be a ninja's downfall. Rukia said sagely. Very wise words, Rukia-chan. Haku said with a bright smile on her face. She was very proud of how Rukia had turned out and could still grow. Yay, but there is no harm in flexing your power every now and then. Naruto said with a grin. The cough from the throne made them all remember they were in the presence of royalty. As amusing as this is, you all have a mission and also need to rest from your recent battle. You can leave the next day once you have rested once more. Naruto could simply send the supplies along with his group back to the village in an instant, and she was sure that is what he would do. Yay, but you should buff the security on the place, since we know that stone ninja are here. My presence will stall them and also make them think twice about trying anything stupid. Naruto brought up the point that there were stone ninja in enemy territory. He also had the strange feeling that he needed to go back to the leaf, as if there was something of great importance he needed to know. I will get on it at once. Koyuki clapped her hands. Guards. Raise the security on the outer walls and bring me reports every 2 hours. Koyuki ordered the guards who had rushed into the room. This is the end of the video. If you enjoyed the story, then hit the like button and comment your favorite part, but for now see you all in the next video.